Be, 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 be,
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hollow Knight Runners podcast and Hollow Knight Runners Live. Joined here by my Bombad Rebel Gorman.
Pals. Rebel.
Call me a Gorman.
Pals.
Gorman front
You
friends.
say Rebel Pals.
Your
Jamie
rebel
and Matt.
pals. I want to
How's
be
it
your
going?
rebel pal. I'm
Hello.
good. As long as I'm a rebel pal and not a Gorman.
Why don't you want to be a Gorman?
I don't want to be a Gorman. It's not after this last episode.
Bad time to be a Gorman.
Yeah,
Bad time to be a Gorman.
They have some pride.
They
Be a
have
Gorman
pride.
descendant.
They were brave.
They were very brave. I give them a lot of credit. But they are, thank you. Thank you, Teus.
The opener is thanks to Matt's musical talents.
My pipes.
Berkeley
Got some
School
pipes.
of Music talent right there.
That's thank you.
Yeah, my Bombad Gorman resistance fighters. That's what
There
I
we
wanna
go.
say.
All right.
Gormat.
Even though most of them are dead.
Gormat.
That's my point. What's wrong with
So-
Gorman?
We got a lot to dig into tonight.
Yeah,
We're going
we
to talk
really
about
do.
Andor season 2, arc 3, part 3,
Mhm.
arc 3, whatever you want to call it. I mean, off the bat, it was up there. It was up there with all the things.
We were
all the
talking about
things
it
in Star
earlier at
Wars.
PAX. We were
Yeah.
talking about whether or not I would rank it above the Marshall. I actually might. I was thinking about it on the ride home.
I
I
don't
know
think
I've
it's that bold.
said-
I mean, it's
I know I've said that nothing will ever top the Marshall in terms of Star Wars television, but holy hell. I think these 3 episodes
mm,
put together beat out the Marshall. But I think the Marshall is still the strongest single episode in Star Wars, if that makes sense.
I think that
But if
makes
you
sense.
watch these 3 together as like,
yeah.
then
Well, that's the thing,
holy
right? Like,
mother.
these are all in arcs, especially season 2. So it's kind of tough to compare them. Like if you count
It is
all 3 as an episode, I mean, it's like comparing the Marshall to a movie almost. But
Yeah, I mean, it is it is kind of like that.
yeah, but I mean, it's up there. It's up there.
But I honestly think that's why, like Andor season 2 is really hitting for a lot of people, is because these 3 episodes are like more fleshed out. They're like, there's just more substance to the weekly releases, So
Mm.
they're kind of like, they're getting it all in.
Jordan.
Jordan, good to see you today, buddy.
I saw
Sorry I
Jordan
didn't
in
get to talk to
person
you
today.
much. I know. It was good to see him. We were at the Mafia panel. He was dressed as a Ghostbuster. He got called out
Like 3
by
times.
For context, for those who have no idea why we're talking about that, it was PAX East day 1 today
Yeah.
in Boston.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. And we're talking about the video game Mafia.
We were in the
The
Mafia?
new game, Mafia,
Mafia, the
Old
home,
Country,
the
which
old
is
country, the
looking pretty
homeland.
cool. Looks
The
really lit.
homeland.
Yeah, so that we're not just like throwing around terms for no reason. That's why.
Yeah.
But it was just day 1 of the convention, and we're like, all right, we're back, and we still need to talk Andor. And so even though we all saw each other today, we like barely like chatted Star Wars.
Yeah.
that was actually really impressive. We did kind of like trade like, oh, it was really good, blah blah blah, but like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't really get into
We'll talk
the meat
about it
of
later. Yeah.
Yeah,
Literally
kinda
though,
the-
it was like
That was the attitude today.
Let it
we,
cook a
we were all
little.
just kind of looking at each other like,
Should we talk about it?
should we? Can we talk about this?
So we have episodes 7, 8, and 9. I don't remember any of their names.
I wrote it
They're
down.
they're
Ready?
professional. Here we
Okay.
go.
Ready? So episode 7, Messenger. Episode 8, Who Are You? And episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion.
Right.
Dude, that's so messed up that the name of the episode is Who Are You?
Who Are You?
Holy
Yeah.
hell.
Oh, good.
Oh, that was like such a punch. That
I
was a
think-
mad punch.
That is probably like one of my favorite moments in this arc, which is so
Oh, yeah.
funny.
Definitely. So we have 3 arcs. They all kind of bleed into each other, but we have 3 arcs to dive into. Like we've
3
done
episodes.
this 3 but 3 story arcs.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've been
yeah.
doing
Gotcha.
the story arc breakdowns, yeah.
Righto.
Through the episodes. Yeah, Matt missed last week, so he forgets what we're doing.
I
here.
forgot everything. I don't even
So
know who Andor is.
which I've separated them into the 3 arcs. So which one do we want to start with? Like Cassian's mission to Gorman and the Yavin ongoings. Cyril v. Dedra is kind of what the other one I had with, Cyril realizing what's going on, Dedra realizing what's going on together. And then the third one's Mon on Coruscant. I think we saved that for the end for sure.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
save that one.
we could start with Cassian's mission to Gorman, right? And then what's going on in Yavin, because that's kind of what we first see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because that's like most of the meat of the first episode. So we can kind of go in chronological order there.
Yeah. So, I think we start off with Yavin base, seeing Yavin 4.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah, it looked great.
Start.
I think I teared up a little.
It was kind of
like,
emotionally overwhelming because
that's like a hot take for me.
Dude, and this is like the first time where I've felt that like with Andor things are like snapping into place. This is the recognizable rebellion that we know and love, and it's like so unbelievable to be seeing it through the lens of Andor, Oh, I hope we get Dodonna too. Don't
Speedo Dodonna?
Speedo Donna.
That's a deep cut.
I also deep cut for us. I also loved so when they're on Yavin and Draven walks up, like no introduction or anything. He just like struts across like the airfields, and I'm like, oh, there he is.
Dude, I couldn't believe it.
There he is. Like obviously he's going to show up, and I'm sitting there and like I had this moment of excitement like in my head, and then I'm also just like, why am I getting excited about Draven?
Draven,
what do you get excited about Draven?
But he's awesome. He's
awesome.
It's like a random guy. He is like step above Glup. But like he's just a random guy, and it was just so exciting to like see him and be like, "Oh my god, that guy is in Rogue One also."
Yeah,
and I mean,
because this arc really is setting up to the flow into Rogue One. There's like 2 trilogies that you can count if you want to watch like before Rogue One. There's either season 1 of Andor, season 2 of Andor, Rogue One, or this arc, whatever the next arc is going to be, because they said it's going to directly set up Rogue One and then Rogue One. So you could go either way, like because this very much sets in motion things that we see in Rogue One.
See, that would be an interesting experiment in the future of recommending ways to watch these things. They're like, oh, just watch these like 6 episodes from season 2 of this other show, and then watch Rogue One.
Yeah, right.
To see what happens.
It's honestly fascinating, It's like the old like, how are you gonna show your kids Star Wars 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? It's like that, but like with Andor and Rogue One. How are you gonna show your kids Rogue One?
I didn't notice Biston in the background. Biston in the
Who's
background.
Biston?
Who's Biston?
He's the like teddy bear looking guy. Not Moroff and not
Moroff.
the screaming guy. Look him up real quick. He's he's like teddy bear and like a
like big eyebrows.
Yeah. I also noticed the guy from like the Resistance from like Force Awakens. I don't remember his name, but
the other
wacky alien there.
Yeah, they're a bounty hunter. They're a droid, but they're inspired
the droid.
by L3.
Yes.
And they have like a funny helmet,
I wasn't talking about that guy, but yeah, that dude was there too.
There was a lot of creature reuse and whatnot, which was like super exciting to see. The Neil Scanlon is just like, let me show you my faves, and he's just like flinging these guys like back from like the archives, and it's just like I love to see it. There was a Blue Squad pilot in the background. I know someone in the chat mentioned hoping to see Blue Leader next week, and I don't think it was Anton Merrick yet.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a Blue Squad pilot in the background.
Is Anton Merrick the guy who's like, Mom? Was that him?
He's the guy with the mustache and
okay, so it is him.
And he goes
Leader.
down. Oh, almost all Blue Squad dies.
I love how we just like dove into immediately, just like the glupness of the Yavin.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Of Yavin is legendary. But yeah, I mean, it's all or mostly sequel aliens, which is really funny because on the one hand, great. On the other hand, it's just so funny because they're just reusing.
That's just what they have on hand.
They're just reusing what they have. I did spot a Twi'lek though. I did spot a Twi'lek in the Senate scene, but we won't get to that yet. But there was a Twi'lek in this episode or in this arc, which was exciting. I'm always on the lookout for Twi'leks.
They weren't like a wild color. They were
they were just like regular,
like a regular human like skin tone, like a pale skin tone, just like nothing, not like green or blue or whatever.
But we get to see Cassian is living in the jungle.
Yeah, he is.
Nice house.
Dude,
He's having
honestly,
a nice time.
what a great arrangement. Dude's living it up.
Oh yeah,
Really nice.
I'd be afraid of like bugs crawling in or something.
That's
but
true.
It
Especially
cool.
like big Yavin bugs, and also
Big
like
Yavin
whatever
bugs.
beasts were eating half of whatever her name is.
Yeah. So what happened with the
crew.
bees? Like,
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's so
They're
funny.
still
Where,
there.
where the hell do they go?
They're probably just further in the woods.
is it some like a chopper base like business where they have like the things around like on the
maybe.
Yeah, and they're keeping them out.
It's
they
the
get too
electric
close,
fence.
and they're like, ah.
Literally just an electric fence.
Yeah.
But for the creatures. But maybe like how far fetched is that? Why not?
Yeah.
We get to see Cassian and Bix. Their relationship is, last week we didn't get to talk to you about it, Matt, but like their relationship became like a relationship again because we knew they were friends. Previously, seemed like they were lovers, and then they were friends, and they're definitely back to that now in a very close relationship.
I would
very
say
intimate, and they're kind of in the middle of a scene, like and Cassian's shoulder I think we see is all wounded, and then third wheel Willman comes in and
Good
butts
old
his
Will.
head in.
We love
3PO
Will.
style.
I love Cassian and Bix's relationship. And like, well, obviously we'll get to where it develops later on, but they have such a good and like genuinely like healthy relationship at this point in time. Because
at this
like,
point in time, not last week. But
no,
this
not
week.
last week.
Yeah.
Because last week was Cassian trying to figure out how far what he'll do and whatnot. And like this one was also he's still trying to figure it out, but it's more so Bix is the one that's stronger at that point of saying, hey, this is what I think we need to do and what you need to do because I know you can do it. But they have such like a good and healthy relationship. You can tell that they like care for each other so much, and it's so rare to see like that kind of relationship in Star Wars that is like these two people who genuinely care for each other so much.
Yeah.
Pretty much just Hera and Kanan, and that's it.
Pretty much, yeah. I know Han and Leia's, but they have their turbulence.
Yeah, there's something.
They're fighting a rebellion. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bix and Cassian are having a good time in their little bungalow there, and
bungalow.
Wilmon shows up, and
fresh off of a job.
Fresh off a job, we know he's been working for good old Saw there, huffing the fumes.
Huffing the fumes for Saw, but he's also working for what's his name?
For Luthen.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was always working for Luthen, and then because last week Saw hinted at like, hey, you're not working for Luthen right now, because I think he's like a mercenary. It seems.
Yeah, he was doing something else because like Luthen,
he's
like
double dipping.
Rebellion leadership knows that Cassian, Willman, and Bix were drawn in from Luthen. Like they know that was their pipeline, the rebellion, the Luthen to the rebellion pipeline.
Yeah.
It was that way.
I just want to go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and so like I think Willman was on like another job for the rebellion, and he happened to get in contact with Luthen at the time. Like I think he said he like literally saw him. So he's just like, oh well, he's looking for you. Nothing to do with Saw. I'm glad that he didn't become addicted to the Rhydonium because woof.
Well, maybe he is.
How do we know?
He's fine. He's fine.
Matt, what were you gonna say?
I just find it so. I mean, I can't believe we're near the end of this whole series, and I cannot believe Luthen is like more or less a rebel pariah at this point. I mean, really, people are looking at him like almost like they want to stay away from him. The people who used to work with him don't want to work with him anymore. It's just like him and Clea. Like now, Mon is like saying goodbye. Like Luthen seems to have connections to Yavin, but like he's not. Yeah, he's not fully in. Like I was really expecting him last season, like, and for the 2 years after last season, I was really expecting to see him on Yavin as like a prominent rebel leader, and we don't have that. He's just kind of like the guy that everybody's kind of like avoiding now.
He likes
at the same time, exactly. He likes the secrecy. So at the same time, like he doesn't want that like very public persona of I'm leading this group. Like he'd rather operate from the shadows and help where he can that way. And like I guess that's where he knows he can excel. And so he found his operatives, which work directly with the rebellion, and then just goes from there.
It's going to be hard to watch him die next week. It's going to be hard because he's kind of like one of the guys that has everything. I don't want to say under control, but he's the guy you look to for like strength. Like
Yeah, he's
every time he's on screen, I'm like, all right, like Luthen's
He was
got this.
slipping
you
this
know?
week though. He was slipping.
all right. Yeah,
towards the end a little
he's
bit.
done so next week. He definitely.
he's
I don't think
definitely
it's gonna
done
make
so.
it to the end of the series. I
But
think
what
that
was it-
Clea will make it, but I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
hope
that he
so.
will.
What was he slipping on? I mean, he was the one
He
who
wasn't-
who figured out that Bale's
He was
team
slipping
was
big time.
compromised.
I know, but
I mean, like
he
was.
he slipped up by giving Mon the information, and even admits later that he shouldn't have told her about Erskine.
About
And he also
Erskine.
came out right into the courtyard, not wearing like his disguise. He was in
Yeah.
like
he
the
was.
full on rebel outfit he has.
Yeah,
like-
it's true. I was pretty shocked about that. I was like, wow.
And I think Clea, we'll get to that later, I guess it's at the end, but like Clea seems like the stronger one than Luthen at this point.
Yeah, she kept that job on the rails. She's the one that actually kept the Mon Mothma extraction on the rails, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
God, if Cassian kills him next week, Chad, I am gonna lose it. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. That's gonna be the weirdest emotional reaction I think I'll ever
Maybe
I mean,
Clea
bro,
will
I mean,
kill
like,
him.
you
have
know
in my
what?
life.
Whoever ends up killing him. I mean, if it is either Cassian or Clea, it'll be like a oh god, what was Woody Harrelson's name?
Beckett.
Yeah, it'll be like
Beckett.
Han killing
Tobias.
Beckett. It'll be Han killing Beckett. It'll be like that. That
Okay.
I hope so, because that's like my favorite death. He's like, that was a good move, kid.
He's like,
and then he dies.
That was good.
literally
That's so
that got me
good.
I would have done the same thing.
I would have done the same thing.
By the way, until like this minute, I completely
Oh.
forgot Woody Harrelson is in Star Wars. Can we think about
When
that
you
for a
said
second?
Woody Harrelson,
Hold
I
on
was like,
a
is she
second.
going to talk about Cheers? And then I was like,
No,
oh, wait
no.
a minute.
He's in Star Wars. I think that he forgets that he was probably in Star Wars.
He was great, dude.
Yeah.
Tobias Beckett is a great character.
Underrated.
Oh,
really
good.
underrated. So underrated.
Something
so Yavin,
about-
we're on Yavin, the Cassian
something-
storyline.
Yeah.
Something about the show that I've been disliking this season, and it's very, very noticeable in these episodes, was the 1 year time jump.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it,
I
like what you
agree.
said, Matt, you said something that made me think of it just now. With Luthen, and like, we don't get to see what happened in the past year with Luthen, because like something's happened.
The Resistance broadcast, if just
they're
let
in.
us know a day earlier. This is the second time I
we
have
were telling them.
agreed to do work right before you message us about the
And
podcast. I was devastated, dude.
Speak of the devil, make Solo 2 happen. We were just talking about Solo. So
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
perfect.
That's why they were like their
Absolutely.
ears perked up because they heard Beckett and they're like, oh,
Tobias
here we go.
So yeah, the 1 year time jumps in between each arc is just
It is killer.
it's
really
not jarring, but it's like Jamie's big thing she pointed out last night on the Resistance broadcast was Bix and Vel. I don't think they've ever met. They were
Yeah.
on Ferrix like at the same time, but I don't think they met. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, hey, you!" And it's like, "Well, we haven't
Yeah.
seen you guys."
If they did,
together.
it was in passing. So that is like a missed opportunity of if they had more time in the show, they would have shown them actually having like a relationship as friends and whatnot and
Yeah.
working in the rebellion together. Like I wish we could have seen that because it would have also been a way to go through Vel. The way that Vel talks to Bix is her literally saying, yeah, I like almost went off the deep end a little bit, but then I got better and then I took a break and then I got better again. And it's just like, I wish that we could have experienced all of that. And like, I wish we could have gotten more, but like, I understand it's restricted with just like the time jump. And so
I get it.
that fact alone of like, there could have been so much more that they could have done made me knock half of a point off and not give the episode a perfect score because like I just
in
wish
a perfect universe somewhere else we're getting 5 seasons of Andor.
Yeah.
And Diego Luna is playing a 28-year-old man in his 50s.
Exactly.
It's a shame that we did not get that.
Even the three seasons would have been perfect. 3 seasons would have been great.
I think one more season could have really benefited this show. I think you're right. But
I mean, the show's already
One more
great, but
season.
there's more to maybe tell there a little bit, but even so, it's been great.
I mean, all they have to do is
obviously.
just bring Cassian back from the dead. That's all they have to do.
Easy.
And then
they introduce the Force healer. She'll just take care of that for him.
We'll get to her.
Yes,
on
we have
the
to.
on the Resistance broadcast, they also brought up how these time jumps are gonna be a gold mine for the Star Wars authors.
yeah,
to write
for
stories in between.
Holy shit!
You know
it's
how
perfect.
like you know how
The
celebration
floodgates.
You know how Celebration Weekend we were like disappointed that publishing had some reveals but not that much, and we were hoping that they were going to reveal like the next like High Republic-esque like thing.
Mhm.
what if
Maybe
it's
it's
just
this.
like fill in the blanks of like the Andor timeline.
The high Andor.
The in between years. Yeah,
High
the high
Andor.
Andor. It's Saw Gerrera.
Yes. The Adventures of High Andor and Saw Gerrera.
the high Guerrera. That was last week.
The High
Dude, High
Gerrera.
Gerrera was last week.
Exactly. The High Gerrera. Yeah.
I can't believe in Rogue One when he takes a hit off of that air tube, it's actually just drugs. That is so funny, dude.
It tracks.
I can't
It adds up.
believe that. Oh man, you guys are lucky I wasn't there last week. I would have talked about that, and I would have talked about Good Morning Coruscant for a full 2 hours.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it for like a few minutes? We can squeeze it in.
Dude, Good Morning Coruscant is so funny. These two drunk ladies on TV just like chatting about galas and like trying to like talking about the Empire, like
it was
softening
very,
their image. It's amazing. It's
it was almost more than any like actual like a talk show. It was more like a Bronx Beat, like the SNL spoof of like talk shows. It was much more Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph doing Bronx Beat of just like making fun of it. Like I thought it was that vibe to me more than anything else.
who are the women who drink wine and have a morning show?
Oh,
it's basically them.
Kathy Lee Gifford and Hoda Kotb.
Yeah, dude, literally,
it was.
What are they on the Today Show? Yeah,
yeah, something like that. Whatever
it
is.
hour-long segment of drinking wine at like 9 a.m.
Yeah, and it's Good Morning Coruscant is literally like two women getting sloshed and reading propaganda. It's
like,
so funny, dude. It's
it was
so
good.
good.
Like they had like silly names too. It was like Mafia and Toffee. Like
Yes!
I loved
Mafia
it.
and
Like
Toffee.
I need like that mini series of just
Where's
like,
the action figures?
bring back
Oh,
like a web
please.
series of some kind. That'd be great.
The production design in Andor, I geeked out about this so much last year, and I cannot express enough how incredible the production design of Andor is. Every little detail. It covers all of these incredibly serious topics, and then you get Moffy and Toffee on Good Morning Coruscant, getting drunk and talking about balls. Like, not balls,
Well,
but galas.
Okay, I was gonna
But
say,
also-
did I miss something?
But also,
no, but it's sincerely like it is unbelievable. It gives you a big, like, it gives me big Pan Am vibes, like very Hunger Games stuff. I think.
Yeah.
Very Hunger Games production design, like this very weird retro futuristic, like honestly, the holiday special. It's like they watched the holiday special and ripped things straight out of that. Like literally, Skeleton Crew did that.
Mhm.
But the production designers of this show must have watched the silliest, goofiest Star Wars imaginable, like the Christmas or the holiday special, and just plucked design elements from that. Because
that's what you got to do.
In the 70s, they were really trying to figure out like what Star Wars was. Is it only fantasy? Is it, are we going to portray the Star Wars universe like our universe where people sit at home and eat cereal and watch TV? Or is this going to be fantasy? And the holiday special really kind of cemented the sit at home, watch TV, eat cereal thing, with cooking shows and this and that and the other thing. And the Andor team has just leaned into that. And I just can't get enough of it. I didn't even know I wanted it. And it's so funny that they chose like the silliest aspects of Star Wars in the most serious show. Rant over.
It's a great, I'm glad you were able to talk about that from last week. But it's a great
I was
balance.
holding that in.
It's a great little sprinkle that they throw in that fits really well, I think.
That's brilliant.
So, but back on Yavin now. Will, as friends of Will call him. Like
Friends
Cassian.
of the Will.
He comes to him talking about Dedra and how there's intel on Dedra. She's on Gorman. And he's like, hey, let's go take her out. Like, she knows about Luthen. She knows about you, Cassian. And Bix is kind of like, no, like, focus. Let's have the focus stay here. And then I guess Will kind of wins him over. Because I think, much like last week. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, doesn't Bix convince him to go?
Yes,
I thought,
of. So
yeah, she's the one who convinces him to go.
A piece of it is also the Force healer business.
He takes him to the Force healer as a way to convince him to go to Gorman, I thought.
Okay, maybe I got that mixed up
that.
then. Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, Bix kind of, like, dupes
Cassian
him
didn't
to
wanna
come into
go.
town to get his shoulder checked out by the Force healer. And then, in turn, from all of that, what they learn, Bix essentially convinces him to go at that point.
We do have to talk about that Force healer.
So the Force healer.
We will.
We can talk about it now.
Talk about it now, yeah.
Yeah. This
That
is
was-
a
that was a
really,
great- that
really
was a
cool
great
concept
sequence.
to like just like introduce
Oh.
like on screen like this. And like I love
Oh,
how
yeah.
Cassian is immediately doubtful that it's even like a real thing and that they're just like a sham and whatnot. And then they literally are standing there and he's not even standing there for like more than like 2 seconds. And the force healer just like straight up looks at him and is just like, that guy's aura is way off. I need to go talk to him.
That
Like,
man is
she
going to
knows.
blow up.
Like, and Cassian still doesn't believe it, like until like later on he kind of believes it. And like I just love how not accepting of like the force like he is and whatnot. I'm just not accepting of the concept. But eventually, let's a little
He's
bit
a
of it.
skeptic. And it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
it's really fun to see skeptics in Star Wars,
Yeah.
And it was unexpected for the show too, because we knew that the show wasn't going to be focusing on anything with the Force, definitely
have
not anything
not-
with the Jedi and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so
Not
like
talked about the Force at
it was
all.
unexpected to get an element of that in Andor.
Yeah.
It was such a beautiful moment. Honestly, like because I texted you guys, I texted them after every episode. This is the greatest episode of Andor I've ever seen. And
Literally,
then the next
it's, like,
episode, I was like, this is the greatest. Like
45 minutes later, 1 hour later, this is the greatest.
literally every single episode was like, this is the greatest Andor ever. This is the Force Healer really cemented it for me. I know AJ, after we were like kind of talking about it, and you were like, well, the second and the third episode were great,
Yeah.
but I can barely remember what was in the first. And at the time I was like,
Force
huh,
Healer.
that's true. But then as soon as I remembered the Force Healer, I was like, okay, because that scene is just so brilliant.
It's very Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's very Rogue One, but it's also just, it's so perfectly Star Wars and so perfectly grounded. It's like such a grounded way to showcase the Force in Andor. It matches perfectly
And-
with the vibe of the show.
I love that she was just the line cook, like for the rebellion there.
Yeah, but
yeah,
she's
she was
force
doing that
sensitive,
in
and she's
doing it in
force
her
healing.
spare time. Because like
And it worked.
we all know that the rebellion is like stretched like way too thin on their resources and everything. So these are the people who didn't necessarily weren't able to get to those resources. And so she's like, all right, here's this other person who kind of helps from time to time, but they also like, give you your daily ration of like beans. So like you gotta like deal with it.
Beans and the Force.
Beans
Yeah,
and the Force.
That's it.
But now we have force healers in Andor. That's insane. Like
That's
we've
very
really
cool.
come full circle. This concept has really been fleshed out. Like
How do you feel about? I know she wasn't like this great Force healer, and I think she said like it doesn't work on everyone or something. And
Yeah.
for Cassian, it seemed to work a little bit. But how do you
Seemed to
feel
work
about
on him,
something
yeah.
like Force healing in this when later on in it's like this great power, ancient Jedi
So
power?
I think it was very cool because I think it was more of like not necessarily the same thing that like Rey is doing in Rise of Skywalker because she's like transferring like the life force energy over. I think that it's more the Force healer. I think of it more of like she's kind of like a therapist, but like it's like because like she can she can hear what like from like feel across the way of like that person is ailing, that person is in pain or what's going on. And then when she actually is able to touch them, she's like, okay, yeah, I have the better understanding of all of this. I'm going to do what I can. And like, she doesn't seem to like exert herself in like any way, shape or form. It's more of just like I don't want to say it's like she's like sending like good vibes, but that kind of is like what it is. Cause she also doesn't seem like disturbed, like pulling the pain away or anything like that. But like, so that's why I'm like, it's kind of like a therapist thing. I'm just like, all right, I'm sending you the tools in order to help you heal.
It is
and it's not
interesting,
necessarily sending just healing energy. It's just I'm sending you the tools so that way you can overcome this.
Okay,
That's what I saw it more as.
that's
can
a
see
good
that.
point. That's a good
I
point.
think-
You might be right about that.
I'm leaning
It's
more
the Force.
towards, like,
Nobody's right.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm leaning more towards it's like very low level. It's an ancient
It's like putting a
technique
bomb on. It's not
that-
like
yeah. Who told you to put the bomb?
to
on?
put the bomb on.
The Force
I
healer.
didn't tell you to put the bomb on.
Dr. Bison or whatever his name was. What was his name?
Dr.
What?
Bison?
What are you talking about?
What was the
Jackie Childs, the
no
lawyer in
Jackie
Seinfeld.
Child, but he sent the guy he sent Kramer
I
to the
don't know.
doctor,
I
and
forget.
it was like Dr. Bison or
Oh.
like Dr. Buffalo or something like that.
Seinfeld. Okay,
Chad,
that
quickly
reference
Google that
really
for me. Thank you.
threw me off.
Yeah, no, I tend to lean more towards like, I mean, she's clearly force sensitive, right? She sees the future. I think we're supposed to kind of assume that she's seeing Cassian's clear purpose being that he's going to find the Death Star plans,
Yeah.
and sacrifice himself to
Yeah.
Mhm.
get the rebels the Death Star plans, which is again a beautiful moment. But yeah, I tend to think this is more of just like a spiritual side of the Force where, you know, people are Force sensitive and they don't train as Jedi, but they can still play around with the Force.
Which is great.
It's extremely low level. Like
it's great to see
level.
like more exploration of the Force within
absolutely.
Star Wars, because like
100%.
everyone just knows about the Jedi, and then like some people also know about like the Night Sisters. But it's there's in one of the recent arcs of the High Republic, there's obviously like the Convocation of the Force, and there's so many subgroups that like
I love
work
the Convocation of the
through
Force,
communing with the Force, and so it's just like another way of how Force sensitives can like actually communicate with it. And I don't know, it was good. It was very like low level of just like the awareness and just being like open to the spirituality of it. And I love to see that actually happening in the show, because like obviously anyone who's like a follower of the Force in any sort of way is probably being persecuted in this Imperial time. So it makes sense that she's like amongst the rebellion there, but not that many people, because it's kind of like a difficult thing to have that open mind to, I guess, at the same time. And a lot of people probably don't even know that it exists. With
the path being, you know, we're not going to talk about Tales of the Underworld yet, maybe. I don't know. But the path being brought up, you know, is kind of relevant in that fact. You know, she's probably been funneled somewhere from somewhere to the rebellion. And also Bix is Force sensitive.
Yeah, that was wicked interesting. Just like a little bit. So I think that again, it probably like extends to she's open to the spirituality of it, and like has always had like thoughts and whatnot, and who knows. So
I mean, this goes back to the issue with Sabine, you know, and Kanan talking about that in Rebels, and then that being fleshed out in Ahsoka, and now Andor is showing just how low level it gets. You know, people can have dreams and feel the Force. And be sensitive to it, you know, and I would assume those people, if Bix sat down and fostered that relationship and learned the Jedi tenets and learned meditation and learned to let go of attachment and this and that and the other thing, she could eventually practice the Force, but she's never going to do that. And that's not really an option that she would ever even think about. So you don't really do that, you know.
It's all fantastic. And I think it's just another way of showing how like a average person in the galaxy may just have that little bit of like Force sensitivity. Just being open to it.
The average person's relationship with the Force, the average person's relationship.
I think in like our worlds, it's very easy for someone to have like some sort of dream that seems like really real, and like sometimes people straight up do get like premonitions in their dreams, and like things happen like that happens in real life. And so like it also is just like it could happen to anyone in like the galaxy as well. So like why not?
Even maybe more, I mean, I guess it goes with Bix being sensitive to the Force to some degree, but when she's talking with the Force healer and she hears like Cassian needs to be somewhere, maybe that's for you, or maybe it's to be there for you or whatever, but we all know it's probably for the Death Star plans and that whole thing.
Right. There's a lot of dramatic irony in
there's a lot of dramatic irony. There's a lot of like vagueness that can be interpreted one way or another. It's perfect Force usage.
Exactly. So Bix realizes in that moment probably what she has to do later on in the third episode of it all, of Cassian wants to do these jobs and he just wants to be there for Bix and he wants to save Bix. And it's really tragic because they deserve that life together. They've both been through absolute hell in both of their young lives so far. But they need to win the fight to get that life, and Cassian gives them the best chance to win that fight. So it's like, and we know that they don't get to see each other again in the end, unless something happens next week and they get to see each other one last time. But
I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna do that, which is like really just adds so much tragic. It just adds so much tragedy to Rogue One. I mean, really. It's as if I wasn't sad enough in theaters in 2016 watching Cassian Andor die just because I thought he was a cool character. Like now it's like, Jesus Christ.
This guy dies?
Oh my God. With Rogue One, I have a question for you guys, because up until this show, everyone kind of thought that Jyn and Cassian had like a little like
I never really thought they did.
thing. I mean, it was such a short time. How many? It's like days they're together,
Yeah,
but like
I never
guess
thought
they embrace at the end because they're dying. But like,
That's
Yeah.
what I always
Yeah.
figured. But they
But
do
people
kind of
always
look at each
kinda-
other weird in the elevator. I always thought
Yeah.
that was an unnecessary addition because for the most part, I figured they were pretty platonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so
never
that was
really
just an
thought that
interesting
they were
little
like
piece.
anything. I think that again with like the weird look in the elevator, that was also with well, we're gonna die.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Which I
Here we
guess
go.
technically there's nothing wrong if there was anything. It just makes a little. I mean, that's a year later now at that point, removed from
we
the
don't
relationship.
know
But it's
what the in between's gonna be still. So I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. So that was just a little interesting, little romantic side note I had. But yeah. So
Is
Cassian.
that a year later? Well,
Well,
it's
it's
a
Rogue
year
One,
later.
so
Well,
it's
it's
a
a
year
year
later.
It's-
removed from this arc.
Yeah,
I,
at least.
I think
this
next
was year
week is going
two.
to lead directly into. No, it's one. It wasn't
Next
a
week
BBY
is-
one.
We've done 4, 3.
right,
This
right,
week
right.
was 2. So next week is 1.
And they'll
But
probably
I
have like
think
a prologue.
I think
epilogue.
one BBY is basically the year.
Yeah,
That
and then
the
it,
Death
Star
it
gets
turns into the
destroyed.
same. So the show is probably gonna end with be like, hey Cassian, we
Yeah.
gotta have you go to Wobani for a job.
Yeah, I
They'll
think
have,
that's
they'll have like an
literally what
epilogue
it's
or
Have
gonna
something.
fun.
Yeah.
because that's I'm next week against all better judgment. As soon as Andor is done, I'm turning on Rogue One. It's gonna be friggin' midnight, but I'm gonna do it.
I probably will
I've been
too.
waiting
Yeah.
I mean,
forever to
it
do
seems
that.
like it seems like a cool opportunity to do that. And this week we all watched Secret Cargo.
Yes, we did.
Right,
I was
after this.
totally prepared. I had
Yeah.
that ready to go.
It was funny because we didn't talk about it, and then we were like, "Oh, we're putting that on." And I texted
was
Matt,
that
and he's like, "I
episode?
just finished it." And so
Yeah.
it's funny. Everyone
I
kind
had
of did
to.
the same
I
thing.
had to.
Yeah, no, it was great. Any excuse?
I
to
mean,
watch
I
Rebels.
was keeping my fingers crossed because I was really hoping they weren't going to step on.
We'll
Secret
get
Cargo's
into
toes.
that.
I knew
There's
they
so
weren't
much going
because of
on with that.
Filoni, but yeah, we could talk about
Yeah.
that later,
Right,
obviously.
right. We'll talk
We'll
about
talk
that
about
later.
that later.
So, at this point, Cassian is going to do his mission with Will on Gorman. So they
The
they take off.
unsanctioned mission, Draven running across the
Yeah.
not running,
Yeah.
Stern walking across
Always
the
coming to yell at
airfield.
Jesus.
This
Cassian.
guy. Freaking hate this
Draven.
guy. I mean, it really it adds so much to their relationship in Rogue One too, because he's just. I always took it like they hate each other, or not hate each other, but they're always like, I hate this.
It's
fucking
like,
guy.
it's like, could you listen to like one thing that I like
Jeez.
do? Like,
Yeah.
please, Cassian, listen to me once
I mean,
in
literally,
your life.
Draven doesn't get like a message back from Cassian. He's like, "All right, guys, go to Ariadu and blow it up." It's like, okay, dude.
It's like, all right, he fails.
he failed.
He had a
he's
good
done.
line. Cassian had a good line to someone. I don't know if it was to Draven. I think it was to Draven, where he said, like, the day I need permission to come and go is the day I don't come back or something. I don't know. It was
Yeah,
something like
something
that.
like that.
And that's true because they're halted to stay on Yavin before Rogue One, and they take off, and then they don't come back. So
Isn't that friggin' amazing? You
It
just
is.
pointed that out. I had not even given that a single thought, but that is
oh yeah,
blowing my mind right now.
yeah. I mean, I guess it was intentional.
Crap,
but like,
that's so good.
it's
That's got to be intentional. That's so
Yeah.
good, dude. Oh
Um,
man, my brain's broken. I'm done.
So yeah, they Will and Cassian take off on the.
They go
the
to
U-wing.
Gorman in the U-wing.
The U-wing
Woo.
looked very small.
It did smaller
Yeah,
than it
it-
does.
Maybe it
in
always
Rogue
was,
One. I
but
don't know.
like I don't know.
Yeah, it did look smaller,
K2
but
has
it
to fit
also
in
was
that
great.
thing.
Yeah, he's fine.
I technically
he-
did on the way back.
He ducks. I loved the arrival on Gorman, and Cassian is just like flying like wildly, like
Yeah.
and low and whatnot. And Will just looks like he's gonna like throw up. Poor kid. Like
I figured
he's
he'd be used
fine.
to it with Saw's crew.
I know,
Those
right?
guys are
Nah,
maniacs.
He's probably done way worse.
Oh yeah,
Maybe it's just Cassian. He gets like a flight sickness.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much any higher and they'll see us.
It was great though, because
Awakens.
Cassian's like on like the cusp of being like, "You all right?" He's like laughing at him, like almost like making it worse, like on purpose. It was very like your older sibling like teasing. It was good. I love to like see that.
Yeah. So yeah, we're on Gorman, and there's a lot going on.
We got to talk
There's-
about the
Just
bellhop.
just a little.
Oh, we'll get to the. Yeah, like you said, we got to talk about this.
Getting there.
We're getting there. We're
We're
getting there.
literally getting there.
We're on Gorman now, and we see. I loved this. I like when movies or whatever do this when they're updating you like through this like
through
bunch
the
of media
news.
being thrown at you with like the news reporters, and I'm like, oh, this is
Yes.
going on, this is going on. It's a clever way to do it, and it builds the anxiety and it builds the calm for the
tension
storm,
and
the
it's just
tension.
all of it, and like it's all the same news but all slightly reported differently. Just to, again, there was
Yeah.
so much emphasis on this arc of the winner reports the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I loved how that came up. I think in almost every episode, definitely in like the main one, the Gorman Massacre one, but then also in the in the last episode as well. But I love the portrayal of the media, and there was so much of it used in this one because like last arc we have like the Good Morning Coruscant, like whatever garbage talk show, and then like
Yeah.
this one we have like the hard news, and then like the news that leans in like each direction, but mostly towards like the Imperial side, because it's an
Yeah.
Imperial occupied planet.
And then we get the
And-
journalist in episode 9, but that's later on.
Yeah,
we get a lot of media.
And we
Look,
get Cassian having a new cover as a journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I personally cannot believe that this arc came out when it did. Was written and allowed by Disney to be released at the time we are living in currently, because wow, dude. I mean,
it's a statement of their own. Honestly,
I was
it
catching
is.
on to it as soon as the news reports started, and they're going, these terrorists and this and that, and I'm sitting there like, there's no friggin' way they're going to do this, right? Like, there's no way it's going to be that overt, and it was, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Well, I mean,
that they did that.
We've talked about it before, but like history repeats itself. And, sometimes it's on steroids compared to what it's based on. But like, okay, this is based on current events, coincidentally, and past events, of course. So it's like it's
for
times
sure.
a circle. But like, yeah, no, it came out ironically, I guess, because when they made this show, they didn't know what was going to be going on, but necessarily. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a narrative on all that, and it's we see it. We see some chilling things in episode 9 too, with like the senator being like taken out, like and with Gorman and him being silent. So like, yeah, it's something. And we were talking about it on TRB last night, but it's chilling, but it's also like inspiring to see in Star Wars because we know the good guys win in Star Wars. So, yeah. But on Gorman,
that's why I like Star Wars.
There's a lot of reasons.
It's escapism.
Yeah. So on Gorman, a lot has changed since last episode. There's been attacks.
Heavier
there's been some like fire bombings. Yeah,
the insurgency that the Empire wanted so desperately has now fully taken hold in Gorman.
Yeah. The overall Imperial presence is stronger. Dedra is actually stationed on the planet now.
Yeah.
And the Gorman front is really just like one thing from bubbling over and causing an actual scene. And the building is done being constructed. So like there's all of that.
Oh, jeez.
Total side note as well about Gorman and the city of Palmo. I loved how the wide shots that they would do of the city of actually showing all of Palmo, and it is just this like quaint little everything is like hand structured with the buildings, and then we just have this like really ugly like tower
massive
just like in like the background. It's like, ugh, gross.
Yeah.
That sucks.
The belly of that steel beast.
But like it was again just like jarring and just like very it was beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. Chad says, I think the Empire did that attack and blamed the front. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they talk about tracking the outside things. Yeah, exactly.
So this is like a tricky one because even though we see the Imperial sniper take the shot to cause the ruckus, there's no way anyone would actually be able to track who fired first. Because in the eyes,
Chad means attacking the build. Like there was like fire bombings and stuff going on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
like the terrorist attacks before the terrorist attacks beforehand.
Yes,
I don't think. I mean, the Empire probably like. I mean, obviously they fostered the resistance movement with Cyril and others. Kind of infiltrating that movement and kind of pushing them to more extremes, which of course is a very, historical thing if anybody knows about it, the 1960s or any other time period in the 20th century especially. But I don't think it was the Empire specifically doing it as a false flag operation. I think it was them just taking advantage of.
It goes back
front.
to, not to cut you off, but like if you watch the show, they show the recap every time before the episode, and like usually I have it on and just before the next episode starts, and they keep showing the thing of Dedra saying you need like the right Imperials to do the wrong thing or something like that, and like that was that, you know, they got what they got with the rebels doing something quote unquote stupid.
The right rebels to do the wrong thing.
Yeah. You
Exactly.
said the right Imperials.
Oh, sorry.
You need the right rebels to do the wrong
on,
thing.
On the flip side, though, it's literally that's also like a lot of the time like what the rebels are waiting for. They're waiting for the proper Imperial to do the wrong thing, so that way like they can actually sneak into where they need to go.
This is a good point by Corey. That Will's been there. You know, Will's
he's been
close
there a
with
lot.
that girl, and you know he's a bomb maker, so I think he's been a part of this. And it's with him working with Saw in the past. I think maybe he is behind some of that tomfoolery as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why I said tomfoolery, but
it's more than that.
So let's get to the concierge.
Yeah, so Cassian checking in with his new credentials as the journalist, and he like plays it off like he's never been before, all that jazz, and the concierge is like, oh, I'm gonna have to like log it and everything if we do it this way, since you're a journalist. In general, we submit everything, and then he just casually is just like, yeah, I remember who you are. I'm gonna give you like front room and everything, and off the record, we're actually not even gonna like put you in the system. So Godspeed, soldier. And then he's great. And then
I mean, he's the guy with the line. He's the guy.
So this is the guy.
Like the whole friggin' rebellion, the whole attack on Scarif, the Death Star plans. It's all him.
Yeah.
Yes, the rebellions are built on hope. Comes from this guy.
I rolled off my couch, dude. I was like on the floor when he said that. I was like, there's no way. Holy hell.
I think that it's great that Cassian got it from someone else, because it goes to show that like Cassian has picked up his views of the rebellion and the galaxy from everyone that he's met along the way that has literally positively impacted him, which is what like a person does as they go through their life. They take their positive and negative experiences with them through their journey. I
think it was so fitting that the line that sets off the Battle of Scarif and the Death Star plans being stolen is from a Gorman. The Gorman people fomented the Death Star being, you know, destroyed. It's just what a chain of events.
To go off of that too, I mean, Cassian's whole arc of getting the Death Star plans with Jyn is like just this domino falling, like one after the other. Like Marva died for this with her speech, and then, you know, Brasso died for this. Who else has died? Cinta died for this. Like, and it's just all these characters falling. Bix leaves him for this. This bellhop dies for this, and then Cassian dies for it. Like, it's just like they all die to blow up the Death Star.
Bellhop died?
Well, he threw a grenade and the whole place blew up. He killed all those stormtroopers.
He gets people away from the door, and then he just has this like thermal detonator out of nowhere, and it was just like, all right.
And that thing was
and then
a
it's
nuke.
a huge explosion. It is a huge explosion. So I would think that he's dead.
I think he's
the idea was. I think the idea was he sacrificed himself. So, like,
I think he chucked it and he ran. Nah, you might be right. I don't know.
Maybe the desk he was behind was made of lead.
Yeah,
maybe.
But anyways, yeah, it's wild to think like all the things that happen in order for Cassian to get there, and then him. It was a bunch of sacrifices in a row to get there.
I mean, and that's
which is tragic.
That's what this show is about, dude.
Yeah, it's all sacrifices.
Something that's interesting is we knew going into it that this would be the Gorman massacre, and we thought as well going into it as that Cassian would be sent there on purpose to like incite something with the rebellion, but like that's never what the intention was, as we found out, because Cassian and Will just happened to be there because they were going to be trying to kill Dedra, and then the Empire at the same time was just like, hey, we're going to tighten this even further, and just like this is when we're going to make it pop. And Cassian just happened to be there on like the worst day of days. You just like say that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is Cassian Andor and the no good, horrible, very bad day. Like it's literally every episode.
Yeah, it's his entire rebel career.
Yeah,
yeah. We didn't talk about this on the thing last night. I just remembered. I liked the little shot before episode 1 of the arc. Episode 7 ended with him like about to look out the window, getting his sniper ready, and then he puts the little mirror out because you can
Yes.
see
Yeah.
the stormtroopers. They're just on the roof, like yucking it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just
Talking
like
about nothing.
talking
loud
about like
as
pod
hell.
racing or whatever, just like yeah,
He's
that
got
was
the
good.
lever on a stick. That's great.
Yeah, no, that was so good. I liked all those little gadgets.
All his
It just
spy
reminds
gear.
me of Tom Sizemore in Saving Private Ryan with the gum and the mirror and the
oh
knife.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good call. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. But yeah, that brings us into Cassian's now on Gorman. The Gorman massacre is about to happen. Let's talk about Cyril and Dedra leading up to that. Because
Let's do
Cyril,
it.
we see walking by all those news things going on, those news updates. That's him walking through there, I believe,
Mhm.
hearing all this. And he's going
Yeah.
to see Dedra to be like, hey, so what's going on?
What's going on, huh?
Yeah, and that's a wacky scene as well of him trying to
Yeah.
get like more clarity like from her, and she's like fresh off of a call, with Partagaz, who's fresh off of a call with Palpatine,
Yeah.
which is just terrifying.
Possible line of the Partagaz's best line. He always has good ones, but bad luck, Gorman. That's just like
bad luck, Gorman.
bad luck, Gorman.
Yeah,
That's such like an old man thing to say.
Oh man,
I guess it's bad luck, Gorman.
Yeah,
Sucks.
that's his bad luck, Gorman. Okay, so do you guys think? I was thinking about this while watching the episode because he says he just got off the comms with Palpatine, or he just got off like a meeting with Palpatine. Do you think Palpatine wears his cowl when he talks to his superior or his underlings, or does he put on like the grandpa persona that we saw in Rebels? And like we know that like the Imperial propagandists push like the like funny, nice grandpa image rather than like the scarred Uggo that he is.
I think that's just for like the public and or like recruiting.
So you think Partagaz like was looking at like him in his cowl, eyes covered, talking like
just like Vader would see him. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that it's a very select few who have access to that in the first place. Like we know it's well, yeah. So Tarkin, Yularen, Partagaz, because he's head of the ISB, and Vader, obviously. And like that's like it. Maybe like a handful of Thrawn, and like a handful of like other guys would like have access to that. So,
I think it's even funnier then to picture Partagaz on a meeting with Palpatine going like, "Ooh, kill all the Gormans," and then like turning around and going to Dedra, oh, "Bad luck, Gormans." Like that's
bad
just
luck,
really
Gorman.
funny. To me.
Yeah,
bad luck, Gorman.
That's just how Partagaz is.
Great.
Just
Partagaz is the best.
He's so good. He's such a good
gets his
character.
directive and he delivers it, and he gets and he gets upset with his subordinates who are just like not handling it emotionally well, because like the entire thing that Dedra, like this arc is, she is just fucking unraveling.
This goes back to Nemec, the whole idea of like this fascism is unnatural, authoritarianism is unnatural, and needs to be, and you need to do inhuman, unnatural things to keep it. So even the Empire itself is sacrificing its humanity. Dedra is losing her humanity.
Because like with her situation is like she is aware of most of the plan, not all of it. There's a lot of the things that are just like someone else is coming in to do the actual actions, but she's the one that has to give the word, quote unquote. So her name is tied to all of this. And so like this is like the moment in which she's like, oh, I'm aware that there is this really bad thing that we are going to do on behalf of the Empire in order to get what we need. But I hope that it doesn't get to that, because we've been trying to do other stuff. And she's at this moment where she has to give the word. And she's like, oh my God, I have to give the word. And this is going to be tied to me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
No matter what. And so like everything with like the Gorman massacre, like to follow, like obviously we have the loss of so many lives of the Gormans and anyone who was there, not an Imperial supporter. But there's also a lot of losses on the Imperial side as well. And so like Dedra's name will be tied to that on both sides. And so that's something to think of, like in like the aftermath of just like everything that gets reported about Gorman. It's just like, oh, this altercation on Gorman headed by Supervisor Dedra Meero, her name is going to be tied to that.
Yeah.
So like it could be good for her, but at the same time, it's like not good for her, because like the word's going to get around and be like, oh, you gave the okay to like do that? Like, well, that's kind of evil.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know.
Like, The Imperials are aware that they're doing evil shit, but at the same time, they're so judgy when the other people who are Imperials do evil shit. So
and to go off of that, I think it's a perfect point to bring up they brought in all the quote unquote green Imperials, like all the 20-year-old Imperial, like 18-year-old Imperials to
on purpose though.
The riot troopers. Yeah.
We had like the squad, the guy who comes in who's like an expert on these kind of altercations.
Kaido.
Kaido,
something.
An ugly looking scar. It was just like
awful guy. Awful dude.
Good Imperial. But
Trigger supervisor. What did he call himself?
He called himself the Trigger, and that Dedra was the finger.
Yeah.
What
Trigger supervisor, and you're the finger, or something
like
that.
What a gross line, but like a good line. Like,
great line, but a slimy line.
But yeah, they were bringing in these guys because they wanted these rookies to mess up and shoot someone in the crowd, which I thought they were going to. I thought someone was going to be jumpy and do it, and then it didn't happen. And
honestly, I think I mean, it's kind of funny that they didn't do it, because that was the expectation. And then when they didn't do it, they were like, "All right, bring in the sniper, I guess.
That's it. Take the bloody shot.
Take one of them out."
Which I thought was just like, I mean, it's evil all around, but it's like them killing one of their own guys to then think down on the ground that they didn't know about that. So like, oh, one of the guys just shot us. Let's just start shooting all these guys. And I don't know about you guys, but I didn't expect it to be such a fight.
I didn't either. I thought it was just going to be a massacre.
Yeah,
just a bloodbath.
Which it was, but like I thought it was going to be very one-sided. They took out a lot of Imperials in that, which is great.
Yeah, they did. I mean, all of it, like before like the fighting even started, like we didn't even get to this, but like Cyril is trying to get like the word out of like Dedra of like what's going on, because they're moving the barricades around and reopening the square, and it's just like he's aware that like this is going to be like an opportunity for everyone to like come in and whatnot, and he's like, oh, like what's happening? And
his name is also
Rylands. And Rylands, the moment he sees like everything opening up, since his like shop is in the square,
I know,
he's seeing it happen. He's just like, not good. This is everything that we do not need.
How'd they all fall for it?
I don't know if they fell for it as much as like
they got swept up in the fact that hey, they gave us an inch here, we're going to take all of it back. And like the Gormans were just sick and tired of it. Like that is what it was. And like there was probably other people like Rylands who were just like, this isn't good. This isn't the best thing. I even feel like some of like his daughter and everything were also just like, this maybe wasn't the best idea to do. But they gave them an inch, and the Gormans are going to fight as hard as they could to get it back no matter what, because they are sick and tired. That's why.
Yeah.
Corey had a good comment. The shot heard around the galaxy.
Yeah.
I like that. That hits close to home here. Lexington and Concord are only 20, 25 minutes away from me. So, it very much had that kind of vibe. Boston, you can't help but think of the Boston Massacre.
The Boston Massacre is a little blown out of proportion, but yeah, it's
of course it is.
Yeah.
That was the whole point. But throwing things at the Imperials, riling them up. Yeah.
So
very good.
My favorite part of the whole arc of this whole episode was the singing. Like they go from the chanting, which, and then that one guy, the very, which Amy have been calling him like the butch guy, the muscular guy there, the beefy guy.
Yeah.
Who messed things up last week a little bit.
Now he's like a prominent resistance fighter. Okay.
He's the guy, which I think that shows something, because last week, a year ago now in the timeline, he was all like, angry and yelling at the meeting and everything. And now he's kind of like, hey, now all you guys are yelling. We forgot who we are. We're the Gore.
Yeah.
Let's be who we are. Let's not lose ourselves. And they're all doing like the angry chanting, and it's good. Like they have a good fight. And then he's like, hey, let's sing our beautiful national anthem here. And he gets that going, and they're just singing it on repeat over and over. And you could I was having like a panic attack on the couch watching it. Like I could feel my heartbeat, and I'm like, I know it's coming.
It was so tense.
It was very tense because I just knew it was coming. And
it's even
oh my goodness.
The thing with like a large group of people singing as well. It's so haunting sometimes, especially when just like what's about to happen, or like you don't know what's about to happen. It can be so haunting in that sense. And in this case of a protest, it's totally
brilliant because nobody can interpret a group of people singing as violent, right? Like it's such a brilliant tactic on the Gorman side, because he sees that things are getting out of hand, the screaming, the shouting, people are throwing things. So let's
Getting it back
let's
to
change the mood. Let's reel
back
it back
in
in.
their favor.
They start singing. Oh, Corey, don't even get me started on Les Mis. We'll talk about that in a bit.
No, but this section is
very,
like it's so Les Mis. Like we literally have like barricades, people like standing, the streamers flying around. Like the anthem is like very like operatic and whatnot. Like it's just like
oh yeah, oh absolutely.
It was,
and you can tell the Empire is like almost disappointed. Like they're like, no, you guys are supposed to be like violent, you're supposed to be throwing things, you're not supposed to be just like singing peacefully and patriotically in the streets. Like you're supposed to be a rowdy crowd, we're supposed to be like, setting this up.
Well, we're waiting.
Literally, dude, literally.
It wasn't going the right way, and before like everything hits the fan, and not to go back to like Cyril and Dedra again, but like their second scene of like Cyril was told to go home and like pack because they're gonna leave, and then the one officer showed up at his apartment and was just like, "Hey, you got to report to the office, and just for your own safety." And he's put into a room with the other Imperial, but not that important Imperial office workers with like the like half dozen like K2 units. Just can I just say the droids were sitting and all the people were standing. I think that speaks volumes of just
the droids have to rest their legs.
Yeah, the Empire only cares about the droids. They do not care about their actual like little worker bees there.
And K2 looking at him.
But like it was definitely like K2 himself.
that was K2.
Staring, absolutely. Like, Bonker. Just like
they matched the markings, like the scratches on him to the model that he gets later.
To
and
be
then
like as like unnerving. Just like
keeps looking at him.
He's got to monitor everybody. But somehow Cassian slips out of the room. I don't know how, but he slips out of the room and sneaks up to Dedra's office again when she's like mid panic attack of
Cyril. Yeah,
you mean
another?
Cyril.
Yeah. Did I say Cyril? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just so wrapped up
Cyril
in it.
sneaks up.
Cyril sneaks up mid panic attack, and he like demands to know what's going on, and that's finally when he gets his moment of what is happening. Tell me the truth as much as you can, and it's just.
That's a good observation.
The scene was so good because again, like Dedra does not have all the answers. She only knows some of the answers. Like she doesn't know what they're actually like mining. Well, she does. She was in the briefing, but like she doesn't know. Sorry, just laughing at the chat. But Cyril gets violent. It gets violent. It gets violent. Uncomfortably violent, and like I don't want to say good for him for standing up for himself, but good for him for standing up for himself, because there was no way he was actually going to get through to her, because she has had him she has strung him along for so long to do all of this business that there was no other way he was going to be able to get through to her using just words. And so like Dedra gets like physically strangled and also like mentally like strangled again. Like later on she feels like she's like choking in her uniform. I remember like that was in the trailer, and I was like, that girl's having a panic attack, and you guys were like, no she's not, and I'm like, she is.
I don't know what people are like, oh, it's Darth Vader, and I'm like, nah, probably not.
Like, no, she's having a panic attack. But
that was great.
And then the riot happens. Take the shot.
Take the shot, and he shoots one of his own men, and then all of the rookie green losers all started up.
The main officer like leading them is just like, oh my god, someone's shooting, all right, shoot back. And so according to the Garmins, the Empire started shooting first, if any of those people who witnessed that like saw that at first, but who knows.
And then we get Cyril walking through the crowd, just looking just lost in all of it. He's just walking through it, not paying attention. Probably doesn't care if he gets taken out, honestly.
His life for the last like 4 years has been just this nothing. No control over his own actions. Like he thought he had like control over some of it, but he was just being literally strung along this entire time by everyone. And he just has no control. Never got the chance to make the choice for himself of what he actually wants to be or wants to be doing.
Yeah.
And this is the second part of the Les Mis comparison.
Here you go, Matt. Go for it.
Way back, episode like friggin' 1 of Andor. If you go back and watch our reviews and discussions about those episodes, Jamie and I both we zeroed in on the fact that we all thought Cyril was going to have like a oh my god, what's his name?
Javert.
He was going to have his arc was going to be very similar to Javert. And if you know Les Mis, Jean Valjean, prisoner, prisoner 24601.
Yeah, there you go.
24601.
You got it.
He steals a loaf of bread to feed his family in a regime in France that is very oppressive. So he gets arrested. Javert, encounters him in prison and sees him as a lowly wretch and nothing else because he's a criminal, even though he only stole a loaf of bread. Throughout the play, Jean Valjean grows, and the book, Jean Valjean grows to serve his community and is a good person. He raises somebody else's child. He, becomes mayor or something like that. But Javert always looks at him with disdain because the system can't be wrong. He's a criminal. He was in prison. He was punished for doing something bad. The system wouldn't be the thing that was wrong here. It's him. So he's a bad person, whether or not he's doing all of these good things. Until finally, Javert's brain just breaks. It shatters. Like he cannot for the life of him figure out the system can't be wrong. It can't be wrong. It has to be Jean Valjean. And Jean Valjean like saves his life. And he's like, no, you're a bad person. I know. Like he literally just breaks down. In the movie, he throws himself off a bridge. I don't know exactly what he does in the play. He might do something similar.
I think
he kills himself.
The place is not the same. The book I can't speak to, but that is from 1862, and honestly, it's a very old novel.
It's true.
We all thought this was gonna go that way, but
I did think he was going to throw himself off that building. Actually,
well, hey, let's think about it here. He almost kind of like accepts that because he just like stands in the middle of the crowd, just like spaced out. I would say that is like the equivalent because he doesn't care. It's just
the system that he has served faithfully and understands to be the correct law and order thing. It's all bullshit. It's all evil. It's all terrible. He's been serving a group that is about to massacre innocent civilians right before his very eyes. He is just completely shattered. And that's when he sees Jean Valjean. And that's when he sees, like, wait a minute.
Like, Cassian's here? Yeah, it's like, I have a reason to, like, finish this. I have something that I have control over. Let me do this. Let me finish this. And he just this brutal attack, this brutal fight. And poor Cassian is just getting, like, attacked by this guy who, like, he's never seen, but he can't even tell who is attacking him in the first place. All he knows is there's suddenly this guy who's like trying to kill him, and so Cassian's just trying to like fight back at least. Like I think that's like the most important thing first is that Cassian does not see who is even attacking him, but is also being just as brutal back to him, because he can tell this guy's just trying to kill him. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Cyril saves Dedra in the process.
Yeah, because Cassian was like seconds from taking the shot of Dedra.
Jesus Christ, Cassian, take the friggin' shot. What are you waiting for?
He was trying the entire time, but like, there's so much going on. Like back in season 1, Cassian never actually like sees like Cyril's face because like he
doesn't.
He takes him out from behind, but he tells him don't turn around. So like Cassian has literally never seen this guy and does not know that this guy was the one that orchestrated everything of trying to find him.
Cassian is the king of just take the damn shot, you friggin'
literally. So brutal fight, absolutely brutal fight, and like wild to see it out of both of them. Like Cyril, especially,
while people like, are just getting shot left and right, like picked off.
They destroy the coffee shop. I'm so upset. Like
R.I.P.
Awful. Destroyed. Glass smashed. Heads being banged against the wall, and the struggle. They're getting like shot at while in there, and then just the name of the episode. Who are you?
Who are you?
And it's just
believable. And that is the fling himself off a bridge moment. Like,
Yeah,
that's it.
because Cyril has the feelings like obviously of just like, oh my god, this guy who I've been searching for years doesn't even know that I exist. But at the same time, like, actually, who the fuck am I? Like, he
Yeah.
has no idea.
Yeah.
And then he dies
And
in
he's
the
picked
best
off.
way possible. Like, I love how Rylance is the one to
Rylance.
take the shot.
Mhm.
Because Rylance gets like that vengeance because like well deserved. Like, he deserves to have that like kill because Cyril is the
everything that
one
he
that
did.
caused this.
Exactly.
So that was just so good. And then Cassian is still standing there, like, who was this guy? Why did
That's the most
Rylance
brutal
save
death.
me? What is happening? Like,
Brutal death in Star Wars. I have
I'm so
to
glad it
it
was
might
Rylance
be.
too.
It might be the one of the most brutal.
After Cyril threw him to the ground earlier.
It was so good though. Like I've said it like a couple times today, like in the conversation, but I think that like Cyril's arc is just one of the most interesting in like all of Star Wars.
Oh,
like,
I'm in agreement.
It's very
there.
good.
It is just
perfect
so
cap.
good. The
Perfect
beginning,
cap.
middle, and an end of it. Like he's not a good guy in the slightest, but
No.
it's definitely one of the most interesting like arcs that I have like.
So,
one of the
he's
most
not a
interesting
good
in
guy,
Star Wars.
But he has a line. He has a conscience.
Yeah.
So it's shocking, but it's. I mean, that is a testament to how well written this show is. You know, because Cyril Karn's a slime bag, but he still has a conscience. Like it's nuanced writing. It's writing humans, people
trying
who
to do what he thinks is right, what he thinks is
people
right.
are conflicting.
Even piece of crap Dedra has a line apparently.
Yeah,
like she felt she didn't want to make the call to shoot everyone, and she didn't feel good about what they were doing on Gorman. So like
it's like I said, brilliant writing. That shines through. It's very human, very brilliant.
What do you think Cyril would have done if he didn't see Cassian there and he survives that whatever's going on? What do you think? Another happy couple, another happy landing. So
Thanks,
what do you think Cyril was gonna do after this if he had survived and didn't see Cassian and just kind of went about and survived? Like, do you think he would have?
I think he would have just like wandered off. I don't think we would have ever like seen anything from him again if it happened to be that way. I think he would have just like wandered off and whatever. I think that if he managed to escape the onslaught of everything in the town center, I think that he would have been like found by the remaining Gormans and dealt with. Like,
yeah,
because they hated him at the end. Like, yeah.
Well, that's speaking of the Gormans. Yeah, no, they did hate him. Somebody mentioned it might have been KG earlier. It's a good question. Did him and Enza had a brutal death, but did him and Enza have like a thing going on? Like they had some sort of chemistry thing, and that was a little awkward as well. It seemed like any girl that paid attention to Cyril, like he started to like have a relationship
like
with
maybe there was something, but I think it was more so. I don't really think the Gormans ever really trusted Cyril in the slightest. They were intentionally using him as he was intentionally using them.
Yeah, he screwed them though. I mean,
he really did.
Pissed about it. Yeah,
he made it worse for everything. But I mean, like, there's a chance that there was some sort of interest there from him, but definitely not from her. So, because like she doesn't even like give him the time of day. She's just like, no.
The K2 droids. So I mentioned Enza's death, and it was absolutely brutal. But the K2 droid, KX droids, K2 droids. I don't know. They come out and they just are terrifying. They're throwing people everywhere. They're throwing tables at people or barricades at people. Chasing people down in the streets and throwing them at walls. Like, oh my goodness, it was a horror scene.
Yeah, this entire episode was a perfect example of the Empire being its scariest and like actually like showing like the full might of it. With like even as simple as like this, like the I don't know, like handful of stormtroopers, more than a handful of stormtroopers, like standing on the steps and people couldn't leave. It's funny to say it's rare to see like stormtroopers look menacing now. But like they look scary. It was just like, oh man, that is like a full like battalion like ready to go. And then the droids.
The people realizing, but the people realizing with the stormtroopers that they're closed in the square now. You could hear like screaming, and it was
as soon as
something you'd see in real life and like in the
boxed
news
in,
or something.
Yeah.
But so that was scary, and I mean I think that's what makes Andor so horrifying, of course, is that it like is something you might see in real life, and
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
you're not
That's
seeing
a good
K2.
point.
We're not
The
seeing KX
flyovers are
droids in the.
spooky.
Yeah, the flyovers were spooky. Those were
That was
obviously
really
Yeah.
scary.
to incite
Intentional.
something. So, yeah. So the droids were, as much as we love K2, he's really scary.
Yeah. I mean, it made me remember Mandalore. Same thing.
Yeah.
Except they gave them friggin' guns. Jesus Christ. What more
I think
could you?
I think they're
What
scarier
more?
without them.
They're scary. They're scary without them, but like to fight Mandalorians.
Hey,
kinda need...
in Fallen Order and
yeah.
Survivor,
Oh, I always hated.
they're
seeing
really
it.
tough.
Yeah, they're
so.
tough.
They're terrifying.
100 men versus a KX droid. Oof,
Ooh.
I don't know. I think the 100
A
men would
KX
beat the
droid.
gorilla, but they're not beating the KX droid.
You think 100 men would be the gorilla? We're not talking
They-
about this on the stream. We're not talking about this.
They would.
They would not. They would not. There's no way.
The first
no
like
way.
50 men would get beaten down pretty bad, but then they would get
I think
they would get to the gorilla.
I don't think so.
It depends on the
Yeah,
men.
so there is a lot of the brutal deaths with the KX droids, including Enza. Like hers was definitely the
Ooh.
worst because she
I
gets
know.
like the snatched, whiplashed, and then just like hurled across the entire plaza,
flung.
and you just see like every bone break in her body
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
immediately. And they all witness it. All of the close buddies in the front, they all witness it, except Rylands himself. But the other like main two witness it, and it's just yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean there was a lot of not the brother, but I don't remember everyone's relationship to Rylands, but Enza was Rylands' daughter.
Yes, and then I think
And
the other two
there's
just
the
like
other
worked
guy.
in the store. I don't think that they were.
I don't think they
Okay.
were brothers.
And then there was
Like,
the clown
they're
from
brothers.
last week that
Clown.
saves Cassian
I
Yeah.
know. That
with
was
the plow
shocked.
truck.
He got his little.
I'm
teeny
shocked he
redemption.
survived, but I guess they kind of had to have him survive, otherwise his haunting, his kind of
He
like
has to live with it.
payment. He has to live with it. So you can't let him off easy by killing
It
him.
goes
with the Golden
back to the
Mask.
dominoes. Cinta
Exactly.
died, which leads to Cassian surviving to sacrifice himself in Rogue One. It's
Jesus
the dominoes.
Christ. Good job, Cinta. You're absolutely right. I mean, that I had not considered that either. Like that's a very cool thing to think about.
All of these things are just
It
another
all
thing.
goes back to the Gormans, man.
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly.
It's all the Gormans.
So I remember last week, or not last week, but before the previous Gorman setup episode, remember we were talking at our Revenge of the Sith screening where I thought the Gorman Massacre was going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it wasn't because we got this huge setup of knowing the Gormans and meeting them. And it wasn't like a Halsey and Prime deal where like we've never met these people and they get blown up. So like,
Yeah, it makes it so much
yeah.
worse
We get to
when
live
we
with them a
actually know these people like a little bit.
Yeah.
And see like, oh, they've all like grown like a little bit, and these people have like been through like more. Yeah, it's just rough. What else? And so we get to pretty much like the end of the event. And
Yeah.
it's the KX droids are chasing, and it's K2 himself. And like this was all like super interesting because was there ever like a Cassian and K2 origin thing?
Yeah, it was
it was
a
a
comic.
comic.
It was a one-shot comic. Cassian and these two other rebel spies, sisters, who can communicate only through smell. They don't talk. They
right. I
they
remember us
communicate
talking
I
about
through
this.
remember you mentioning that one
pheromones.
time.
It's great. It's such a cool concept. I love it. R.I.P. Yeah, they
Still a concept.
infiltrate an Imperial facility, and he kind of rewires a KX droid to help him break out. This is like before KX droids were like slaughter machines.
An actual like
They
more
were
of
like
something.
kind of like security droids, kind of like
Construction
data
droids.
pushers. Yeah, also construction droids.
Okay.
So yeah, he just like they're like caught in the middle of the facility, and he like reprograms the KX droid K2 to help them escape. And then when they
Okay.
escape, he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're K2."
So I
asshole."
think I feel like this might be one of the biggest things that was like a change.
I
in
agree
it.
with you.
But
was
I
about
think
to
that
say
this
the
was
same
still
thing.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it for sure. I had no expectations that they were going to keep the comic.
Yeah,
So-
it was so like I was aware that there was a comic, but I didn't know like the full details. And so like as like we're like watching this, I'm like, I wonder if this is like the actual thing, but of whatever was already written. But I enjoyed it like a lot, and I think that it's funny that they take him out with the truck like Terminator style, trying to
Yeah.
literally like the imprint in the wall, and the afterwards Cassian is just looking at him like, you know what? I'm taking this guy. Like
I'm taking it.
Yeah, right. He looks over. He's like, I want that.
You know what? I need one favor from you guys. I'm taking this droid.
Home.
And it's not like clear if he's like, oh, taking it for like the intel, taking it for like something. I think that's probably why he chose to take him, just to be like, hey, these things are like wild fighters. Let's bring them back so that way like we can study it.
What a wild thing to think,
specimen.
like in the heat of the moment. Like everyone's getting slaughtered, and like I need a hull destroyed.
And he's
back
like,
to
I
the,
want one of
U-wing.
these murder machines.
This
Yeah.
is what my mom did to me when I was little. I was minding my own business and she just stole me. So let me do it for this guy. This is like kind of like how it like went.
I hadn't even considered
Like,
that.
Isn't that it's funny to think about?
So
That's
yeah.
actually
Will,
really funny.
Will stays on Gorman to go find his new girlfriend there, and
Yeah, to finish it through, and Cassian's like, "All right, you gotta do what
and
you gotta
then
do."
off screen he gets shot in the leg, and we see him later on. But anything else we wanted to mention on Gorman before we head back to Coruscant?
Oh man,
I love the ending with the way that it was with the radio broadcast, and so like we know immediately that Will found Adrena. Found Adrena because she's on the radio, like screaming about how Gorman is under attack. If anyone is available to listen, just to hear us. And Cassian is like tearing up as he's like trying to just like leave. And so it was very it was like at the end of the Aldani heist to me, of like when he's listening, or not the Aldani heist, but when Cassian is like listening to Nemec's manifesto, it reminded me a lot of that, even though it wasn't the manifesto, but just like what Drina was saying was just her like speaking from the heart of just like the Empire took over our planet in the massacre. And it was good also just to get like the clarity that like she was okay and that Wilman was okay and they were going to make it out of there. And so it was like weird later on when Wilman suddenly is like this like charred up leg. It's like, what happened? You're fine.
Yeah.
But I liked how there was that closure, at least, of anyone who was prominent in the Gorman arc who was going to died, and we didn't like see them like die off screen.
I'm glad Ryland's lived, although
I'm shocked. I mean, he's not.
He's lost.
He might not be.
He might not be.
He lived, but like lost everything. He lost his daughter. His business was in that town square, so like his business was probably also just decimated.
And
everyone did what he didn't want them to do.
The planet's gonna be decimated now, and it's just like it just sucks.
Yeah, Ryland's lived, I believe. So
yeah, he was just like sitting.
Yeah, he was
somewhere.
Just
it looked like a bank or something, or it might have been in the back room of like his like a store. Who knows?
But let's head to Coruscant. Let's talk about Mon Mothma.
Oh man.
So Matt, you want to take on this one?
I mean, it's like I said, I cannot believe this third episode was allowed to be released. That Disney allowed it to be released. I mean, that's unbelievable.
I don't know why. I don't know what the disbelief is there. I mean, I get it, but like,
it's just so poignant. It's so of the times, like very on topic for current world events. It's shocking.
Isn't that I mean,
I couldn't be happier.
I don't understand why they wouldn't allow that to be released, though. I mean,
I guess not.
I don't. Yeah, I get what you mean, but at the same time, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be allowed to be released. I mean, we have a lot of content like that in going on, but
true.
But anyways,
but yeah, no. So we have Mon Mothma, who's seeing this devastation, who doesn't buy the Imperial propaganda whatsoever. Because she's got half a brain and guts. And I thought the Gorman senator talking to her at the beginning of the episode was so touching, like very powerful. Like,
yeah,
because you can tell he knows something's going to happen. Was that this episode or was that the last episode?
So the last episode when Mon was lobbying just for like more help in general, she asked the Gorman senator for help because she had helped him in the past.
That was last
week. Last time. So
no, I mean he talks to her this episode.
Yeah, so he talks to her again, in which like is pretty much just like, well, this is it. Like I know that this is it, and it's just heartbreaking of the guy knowing that he did everything that he could, but he knows that it is genuinely the end of the line for him at this point in time.
Yeah, and it's extremely haunting watching him being led away.
Yeah,
Oh my
no,
God,
for
yeah.
no reason.
that was
I
the
mean,
most haunting thing, I think.
That's-
Silence, yeah.
talk about prophetic. We've been talking about these prophecy lines, right? Cassian's line, the whole force healer thing. But when he says, first my people and then yours, we cut to Bail.
Yeah. It's just so
Again,
subtle, but just
Jesus
like there it is.
Christ. Oh
Yeah.
my God. That is insane. My people
Yeah.
today, yours tomorrow, and we cut to Bail Organa, whose people will be wiped out. He will
Yeah.
die with his people
In about a year.
And
Yeah.
he makes that sacrifice. He chooses to stay in the Senate. He chooses to stay behind to kind of,
To keep
be
up the
the
ruse
insider,
of just
right?
like, we need someone who's still the guy inside.
And I can't help but think about, funny enough, I don't think anybody's ever said this, and no one will ever again, but I can't help but think of Battle Scars, the book of Battle Scars. That the Jedi.
Yeah, the Jedi Fallen Order book.
Yeah, the Jedi Fallen
Okay,
Order.
make
Oh,
your
God,
reference.
yeah.
I'm not following. What's your reference?
There is a scene where Cal is talking to a prominent Imperial, and he's loaded, and he thinks that Bail Organa is a gutless, spineless coward because he won't speak up against the Empire, and he thinks that he's just like an Imperial puppet. And
Right.
there's like a
And the
whole
guy is- the guy is-
anti-Bail sentiment,
The guy's Alderaanian as well, which is
Yeah.
why it's even deeper. And so
and he
all of
hates
Alderaan
Bail.
doesn't
Because he thinks Bail's a
know.
coward, and it's
Wow.
that's such a sacrifice that Bail makes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really powerful. I could, like I
Nice
said, I
move.
couldn't help
Deep
but
cut,
think
Matt.
about that last night. Because
That's
that
good.
was probably my favorite part of that book was that.
How many
scene.
people do you think thought the same thing as you? And that
Zero people
Just
have
you.
thought of that book, but I
Matt,
do.
we didn't get your thoughts on the recasting. What are your thoughts on Benjamin Bratt?
I wasn't completely sold on him last week. I was completely sold on him this week. He did a
Okay.
fantastic job. I
Well,
thought.
Yeah.
dropping him in just like for like the 3 lines last week was for the people like you who were like, I don't know if it's gonna work. And then it's
The
like,
soft
okay,
opening.
Yeah. It was the soft opening.
I thought
Yeah.
he was good last week. I thought he was
did
great
too.
this week. I like him. Obviously, Jimmy Smits is the guy, but
Jimmy
Benjamin
Smith,
Bratt,
yeah.
he's doing a good job. He's doing a great job. So
I think they couldn't have picked a better person to portray Bale if it wasn't going to be Jimmy Schmitz.
agreed.
Mhm.
That's fair. But yeah, I mean, so in this
But yeah, so-
episode, the big thing is Mon has to get her speech ready. She's gonna make her big speech that we all know about because we know what happens because of Rebels and just because of other Star Wars lore. We know what happens, and this is how Mon Mothma gets to the rebellion and how she gets to Yavin. And it was so cool. The cool thing about this season of Andor is like we knew the arcs that were coming. Like I couldn't wait for the Corrin massacre. It's a weird thing to say.
As weird as it
But
was to say.
we got it, and it was tragically beautiful and amazing. Also as weird as that is to say. And then like we were also looking forward to this Mon Mothma moment of her making her move finally. And that's why this week was so good because we finally got the payoffs that we've been looking for
Yeah.
things, better
No,
and worse.
Exactly.
So
yeah, because everything with the speech as well, of getting the speech together it all came to a head of Luthen was like also in like she has to do this because it needs to move everything along. She is like almost like this like figurehead for what we need on Yavin, and then it's also just the reassurance from Bale along the way of you need to do this because again it's not something that I can do because I'm staying behind. I think he says like some like silly, just like really good line. Like I'm pretty sure he uses the word shit. I can't remember what he said.
He does.
Though.
He says, "Tear the shit out of this place" or something like that.
Yeah,
tear the
like,
shit out of this place.
that's so good.
Woo!
Like that's fantastic.
Hell of a line.
Yeah,
Hell of a line.
Oh, all right.
I'm motivated. Let's go. But all of that, and so she gets to work right away. And they know. I think that the other great thing is like they know that the offices are bugged across the entire Senate building, and like that's just like well documented. They know that they're being listened to. She knows she's being watched at every turn. And so searching for the bugs was so funny because it's the biggest device you like ever seen.
I know.
It's
I know.
huge.
And it's just like, well, what do we do about this? And then she's just smashing it with like the ashtray or like whatever.
Yeah. And
No,
she's
that was
so
a great.
good.
That was a
Go
great
ahead.
point Lacey brought up last night on Resistance broadcast
Mm.
about, and I think Jamie, you agreed that the bugs that the Empire is using are huge and clunky, and they have a million of everywhere. And then you see Kalea having like the smallest thing twisted into this thing sideways, and this
So
fake piece of art,
inconspicuous.
and it's like
Yeah.
they put a lot more detail into what they're doing.
Yeah, it all
It's
goes
the
back to
Empire.
like the Empire is just so confident in themselves. They're like, yeah, whatever.
Whatever. I'm just gonna plant
Arrogance.
this big cassette tape underneath your chair and hope you don't notice.
Literally, like I
This VHS tape.
Yeah.
I love the ISB like listening post, the analysis like center for all of these bugs as well, because they have everything mapped out, and they're like, all right, we have the bugs in every single office, and here's where it is, everything's on display, but these are the ones we want to focus on, and they're all highlighted.
Yeah.
And then at first it's like, oh, this one went offline, and they're like, it could be nothing. And then there's literally a scene of just like one officer just like, we could report it. Yeah, I guess we'll report it. And then it obviously escalates further from there. It's just like, oh, we know that something is going down in their office.
And they've been bugging these guys since day one. We actually, if you can permit me to make one more book reference.
Sure.
In Mask of Fear, there's a whole subplot about Mon dealing with the trauma because the delegation of 2000, if anybody knows what the delegation of 2000 is or doesn't know, it's a group of senators who come forth with a proposition or proposal to kind of limit Palpatine's powers right before and then right after he becomes emperor. Right after he becomes emperor, the first thing that he does is he arrests the delegation of 2000. Bail, Mon, everybody. Mon is locked in a closet for 18 hours, standing. She can't sit. She can't go to the bathroom. There's like a, she talks about her like having to go to the bathroom in there and stuff like that. And for the rest of the book, she has this PTSD from that moment, and she has the trouble kind of standing up to the Empire, not standing up to the Empire, but she has trouble speaking out against them because she has such a fear of being arrested again, because that was such a traumatic moment for her. And during this whole process, she's discovering that Bail Organa is bugged and that her office is bugged. So, she knows very, very well that the Empire is constantly listening. And it's like something that really hovers over both Bail and her the entire book. Like, we cover one of the characters is an ISB agent who is listening to Bail Organa the entire time and kind of like supplants herself in his journey, in his like adventures. But her smashing that listening device felt really good because, and this whole speech is really a culmination of just getting over that fear of the Empire arresting you, of taking you, of everything. It's really powerful. If you haven't read Mask of Fear, read it and then watch Andor and then watch Rogue One and then watch A New Hope. It'll be a great time. Because they all lead into one another.
So you know what I just noticed based on just like you're remembering bits and pieces here. So they smash the device, and then Erskine suggests to have her go outside and just like rehearse in the plaza. And I'm just realizing now the only reason he actually suggested it was because he knew Luthen was going to be down there to talk to her.
I had not thought of that.
That's a good point.
That's like the only reason why. Or like. Maybe it was like his job to be like, oh, I'm gonna send her down and you can talk to her down there. But she's down there practicing her speech in like the wide open middle of the night, and Luthen shows up not in his wig, just like just like totally slacking, just like being there. I don't think he's slipping. I think it's more so he's just like, you know what, this is like who I am, like this is like what it is now. Slipping Luthen.
I don't know. I think I agree with Jamie more on that. I don't think he's slipping or getting sloppier by accident. I think he's just sort of kind of realizing he's at the end.
Yeah, and he's like this.
And he's
this
kind
is
of like,
this is the persona that like is needed now more than ever. Like we don't really need the other one. But like that being said, there's like a moment in like the episode where Clea is just like, no, go back to the shop because we need that cover story that like you're there. And so like they're still keeping up the appearance, but at the same time it's a lot of in between.
I think maybe slipping's the wrong word, but I think Luthen has definitely changed since the last time we saw him a week ago.
He's becoming more unhinged, I guess, or like more.
Yeah.
His like standard has changed for like between like each arc of episodes. I mean, think of just like
the other
like
the other rebels have lapped him, maybe, or something. Like
yes and
I don't
no,
know.
but like it's what he was providing isn't necessarily as valued maybe as everything else, but he's about to deliver on potentially like the most like valuable asset for the rebellion by getting Mon out.
Yeah.
Got Mon out. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
And I
his
think, like,
that's his biggest contribution. The future
maybe-
chancellor of the New Republic.
Yeah.
He knows his role. Maybe he knows that was his like final test, or not final test, but final project, getting Mon off Coruscant, and like all of his things have been like secret agent stuff.
Yeah.
Now the rebellion's kind of like their own
Special operation of
army
things.
at this point. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
he doesn't fit with that. I know we kind of said that earlier, but his style of doing things is definitely not what they're doing right now. So I don't know. But yeah, where do we go from here? We get a great scene of Clea talking with Cassian about the mission.
Yeah.
And Clea is such a good character for someone that probably has like 15 minutes of screen time this season, if that. Like, she's
shined in this
she's
season,
been in it
though.
more this season.
I feel like,
but,
yeah.
Every
But
single
she's
time she's on
so-
screen, you just have to be like, what is she up to? Like, what is she
She's-
actually doing here?
she's great for like so many different reasons, but like I don't know, she just has this confidence about her, and like she's always on point. Like last week, was it last week when she got the thing out of the table?
Mhm.
We didn't get to talk with Matt about that, but like she was
Oh,
a
man,
rock during that with
bleeding.
good old Lonnie. Bleeding
Lonnie.
hand,
bleeding
doesn't get any
hands.
blood on the floor, gets the thing out while Krennic's right there. Like high pressure situation.
Lonnie's a goner.
Oh, definitely.
Good old Lonner.
He's a Lonner.
Definitely.
He's a Lonner. He's done.
But yeah,
He's a Lonner.
I loved Clea's discussion with Cassian, because now Cassian, straight from Gorman, poor guy, now on Coruscant and has to get Mon Mothma out immediately. He's got a bloody lip. He has like a black eye, maybe. You know, he's beat up a bit. And Clea
yeah.
says that Cassian says like something about like I want to make my own decisions, and then Clea's like, well, what's the point? Like, isn't that what we're fighting for? So we can make our own decisions.
Mhm.
Like that was a beautiful line.
Yeah, I thought that was great. And then like Clea is just casually there, like 3D printing him like a journalism like press badge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That was cool.
that made me giggle. Just
That
like see
reminded
like
me
that
of-
tech there.
That reminded me of ours. If I can find, reminded me of this.
Oh yeah. Those badges, they look exactly like that.
It was
Yeah.
literally this. I was like, holy crap, we got one of these.
Yeah,
Look at that.
yeah, just like that.
Boom.
But yeah, Cassian's cover for getting in before even all of that. Bale gives Mon the out. Yeah, and she asks, "Do you trust them?" And he's just kind of like, I mean, like, yeah, yes. Like he doesn't like have like full faith in them because he doesn't know who they are. And
Parallel
then
to
it's-
Rogue One.
Exactly, because Mon asks again, like last time we see Bale in Rogue One,
trust
do you
them?
trust them in with my
With
life?
my life.
With my
And it's
life.
like
Not these guys though.
No, not these friggin' stupid
these bozos.
these bozos. I mean, two of them
Yeah.
were bozos, but they weren't bad. And then we
Yeah,
got
two
Cassian
of them
got
were-
the
Literally just mercenaries for a job, and then
yeah.
the nice
Cassian gets the celebration media badge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
celebration. Yeah, Cassian gets his credentials in a row and is trying to like get like. I loved this of getting to the Senate and getting to see the media pool for the Senate. Like that was just like super interesting. Just
That's
was
where we
great.
see the Twi'lek. We also
she
see
walks by.
Melito.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there haven't been that many aliens being seen in the Senate, which, when you think about it,
Now there have been.
makes sense for the Empire
True.
because the Empire doesn't like aliens.
Mm,
But
yeah.
at the same time, there are like a few, and so there's like a handful just like walking around like in like the Senate, and so it's always good to see them every once in a while. But Cassian flashes his credentials and gets into the media pool, is told to be a floater, and
Yep.
then also Erskine got fired, but
Yep.
he still
RIP.
He
sticks
got let go.
around.
I love Erskine. Like
Erskine's the best,
good.
dude.
I would feel so comfortable with Erskine and Cassian by my side. Like Mon Mothma
Yeah.
should have felt so safe.
Right?
Erskine's a bro.
He's
He
a
did
bro and a
after.
I
half.
love that guy. And then he
Like,
absolutely becomes a buffoon in Rebels,
Yeah,
voiced
he
by
does.
what's his face from Resistance.
Yeah.
Same guy who's
Niku.
Niku.
Niku, yeah. That was a
Oh,
whiplash.
man.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, and so they do their little team up, and then I'm so glad that like Erskine helped Cassian find his way, because Cassian like was not going to be able to like really find where he needed to go properly.
Yeah.
And so by getting where he needed to go, it worked out.
It was all made so well. Just the
Oh
whole
my
sequence
God.
of
Just the
Cassian making his
tension,
way up there. Yep.
the
The
tension
double
building in
agents.
this scene or in this episode was unparalleled. I have never felt more tense in my life. I couldn't believe you could outdo the Gorman massacre in the previous episode with how friggin' tense and on the edge of my seat I was gonna be. I was sweating friggin' bullets watching these 2 episodes back to back. I'm like, Jesus, I'm gonna have a friggin' heart attack by the end of this.
I literally felt the same.
On
my
edge.
God,
Yeah.
I was like
dude.
checking my pulse.
How do you do that? How do you do that? I mean, that's unbelievable. And then, of course,
the Prophet of Truth.
yeah, the Prophet of Truth. I love that guy. We have to get like a name. We have to.
I don't know. He's the Oath Keeper.
He's
That's
so
I
creepy.
think it's just the
dude.
Oath
the
Keeper.
subtitle
The
name.
Oath Keeper.
So-
He's so creepy. It's such a creepy idea.
So
He
I
is
love how
creepy.
they toggled from the behind the scenes of the ISB listening in to the Senate proceedings of everything going
Yeah.
on, and they're like going on about like the schedule, and they're like, oh, it's gonna be like tied up in like procedure the entire day. They're not gonna do like that much. It'll be fine. And I love how it's the same guys who are listening in on the offices. And I love how everything went down on the Senate floor of the senators gradually being like, oh, I yield my time to this other person. Oh, as a senior senator, I yield my time to another person. And I loved their like Bale's reaction, and the other senator that was the first to yield her time. Also her reaction to the fact that she contributed to giving Mon the time to speak. That was all just like so I want to say cool again, but it was just so impactful to see that like the other people are just like their own little quiet acts of rebellion along the way. So being like, yeah, I'm yielding my time for this person and this person as well.
And the technicians.
The technicians, the small
Yeah.
acts of
So-
rebellion.
Just like the concierge, like it's the
Exactly.
same thing.
Yeah, and so again, it's the imperial arrogance of just like there's no way that like something is going to be like different from what that's usually expected, and so like a
They're
door
just
that's
people.
usually unlocked was locked for once.
It's brilliant
Why not?
bureaucracy. They're using the bureaucracy of the empire against them. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, we sent that up to processing yesterday. The door's
fix
locked and we don't have like a permit. Blah blah blah. It's like, oh, that's so good.
It was great.
It really was.
And Mon's speech.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. We're at it. We're at it.
The show of monologues, like they just keep getting better.
Monologues.
But a lot of heavy hitters in her speech.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
I mean, the ending of the speech, the last line, said Emperor Palpatine's a monster. However, I don't know
Dude,
I always butcher these quotes, but she gets it in just in time. Then it cuts, and it's like, oh my god, you can almost like feel Palpatine like
being like
coming down and like
"Woo!"
coming out,
shitting his
like
pants.
he was
Yeah.
ready to like, yeah. He's like,
Can you
I gotta go to
imagine
the floor today.
The friggin'
Guys.
in the Bad Batch when the thing opened up and it was him? I was like,
Mhm.
shit. I was like, oh my god, can you imagine? If that
where is he
happened?
today? Like where he wasn't in
Yeah,
He wasn't expecting that.
He wasn't expecting that. Yeah, that was just gonna be like a
touring the
you know,
Death
nothing.
Star or something.
Yeah, maybe.
No kidding, maybe. Whew.
But
And-
man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the speech.
The speech,
Her-
the
Oh,
go for it. Just
no,
go.
the word genocide was used, and that was a
Yeah.
big deal. Using the
Yeah.
word genocide was a huge deal.
We've had some big
Um,
words this season.
Big words.
Big word season.
That's all I'll say about the speech. That was the one I literally clapped.
Yeah.
Weird as that, dude. I clapped and I screamed at the fucking TV. I couldn't believe they did that. I was just wow, blown away.
You couldn't believe a lot of things this week.
I
Like,
couldn't believe a lot of things this week. I couldn't.
Like you were blown away watching it, like so were we, but like so was everyone watching and listening to it live in the Senate building as well. Like everyone was just
in
like
Galaxy.
everyone was listening to it in that moment. And like I think that the most impactful as well is Cassian, like standing right outside of the room of the exit for her little pod. He's also just there listening the entire time, and he's just like, okay, I really get it now why it's her and like why it's so important that we're getting her out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they leave. Which, well, not as simple as that. But
Well, and then they leave. But, like,
leave.
so like I think it's so funny that like sorry.
One at
Go
a time.
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, just when they get to the elevator.
Before they even get to the elevator, that's what I was going to talk about.
Well, just walking down the hall, and it's like Mon Mothma doesn't know what to do after this speech because she's like, "Well, I want to trust Bale's people. Bale's my friend. Luthen's this weird like king of the sewers down here. But I usually trust him. Like, and then when Cassian says, we have friends everywhere.
Friends everywhere, yeah.
And it's just like there's like the sound that goes off, and it's kind of like this weird silence, and like Mon Mothma, it clicks in her head like Severance style. It's like ding. Like, and like no pun intended, there's an elevator there too. So like
it's like the Rebels Force theme suddenly just like appearing when something happens, just like but like the door opens from like her office area, and she's so shook. She thinks that Cassian is like an actual journalist, like looking for like news. Like I think that's the funniest thing. Is she's literally just like, oh no interviews, like nothing like that. Like it's something like that. And then Cassian's like, oh no, that's not it. And so further shook, she doesn't even know what she's supposed to initiate the phrase.
Yeah, she was supposed to like ask him, and then he was supposed to answer that.
Exactly.
But she couldn't even. She didn't even know that. She had no fucking clue. And he's like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, literally, this lady's not giving me what I'm looking for.
He's like, I have to take care of like that. Taking this into my own hands. And I think it's also so funny how the Senate security was not like there immediately. Like the moment there was like trouble, why did they not scramble the troops to like?
How the hell were they not waiting for her at the door after she was done?
They are so far away by the time that like they even like show up. Anyway,
so they're in the elevator together, and it's crazy because the two main characters of the show, the two faces of the show, Mon Mothma and Cassian Andor, have met for the first time, and it's like, oh wait, they haven't met yet, and it's like you have this moment. They're in the elevator, just go another great Star Wars elevator scene. Mm-hmm. Star Wars is all about elevators, with we
love them.
Two characters in there hanging out. And that kind of like broke my brain. Like, oh hey, these guys are meeting. Like this is the big moment, and they get back, they get to the lobby, and then Cassian murks the spy, the Imperial plant.
God, and that was the second time I screamed at the TV. I was so sick of her. I was like, oh my god, just shoot her. Oh my god, just shoot her. Like I was
Cassian
getting so angry.
This episode.
I could not have clapped harder when she just fell like a sack of friggin'
potatoes,
flour. Yeah, just collapsed. Oh, thank God! I was like, get her out of here.
One of Jamie and I's favorite moments of the whole arc was Cloris, the driver, walking up the steps. And then Cassian's like, "What's his name? Oh, that's my driver. That's Cloris. Cloris, I got her." Like immediately,
and her face. Oh my God! Yeah. She was like,
it was comical.
Because all Cassian asked her was just like, oh, what's his name? And then he's an ISB plant. Okay. And then immediately just like, it's just
Erskine
so
again.
good.
He knows exactly what the hell's going on.
Erskine's a pro. I love him.
A pro and a half. And then in Rebels, he's like, we gotta hide on Chandrilla. Oh, shut the hell up. Like, what are you doing?
What a guy.
Erskine Samaj.
Cloris, we got her.
Cloris, we found her. Like,
why is it so good?
It should not have been funny, but like I
can't
stop thinking about it. And like Cloris himself is like trying to like report into the ISB like the entire time. The guy spent the entire night in the car, by the way, because Mon just did not leave the Senate, and so he's
the guy's an NPC
at the car. Well, what if she needs to go somewhere? He's the driver, and I love how he reports into the ISB, and the ISB is like, "Who are you? What? We don't care."
Also, like, what was he gonna do? He just sees Mon Mothma and just starts running towards her.
I think it's because he must have heard the broadcast, I'm assuming, and was probably like, "Oh my God,
Mon,
wow,
I'm gonna give you a ride. Hello."
Big, so let me go in because I know that she's in there. And then Cloris, we found her.
That's so good.
No kidding, dude.
This is so good.
And then they take the speeder. They take Cloris' speeder, and for a minute I was like, wait, the speeder can like fly? And then I was jokingly saying to Jamie, they fly that speeder all the way to Yavin, even though
all the way to like the rendezvous point.
Into space.
I don't know where they went.
It was good. And so like there's you're thinking about you're caught up in it the entire time and you're not thinking about that much more. And I don't really think I thought about how she appears in Rebels until like that moment when Cassian is like flying away in the car, and I was like, okay, cool. So when does Erskine change to like his funny helmet and everything, and like they're on like that ship, and I'm like,
Changes his voice.
I'm like, Cassian's not like
Takes
on
his-
that, so like what happens next? And then it is very simply she gets dropped off at the safe house, and it's like, all right, we're gonna literally like change cars and everything and make sure everything like works. So
Back to Cloris real quick, because I thought
Yeah.
the same thing the chat is saying. It shows Cloris during the speech look a little moved, although it shows his blaster on the passenger seat.
yeah,
So I thought what might happen when he ran up the stairs was, I thought like an Imperial was gonna come out or something, and like and Cloris might help, but I don't know what that guy was a buffoon. I don't know what he was trying to. I don't think he was moved because they showed the blaster.
no,
I think
yeah,
he's gonna
I
try to
don't.
take Mothma.
I don't
back
think
to,
he had a change of
ISB.
heart at all. I think that he was kind of like a Cyril situation where he's just like, oh, the system with the Empire is like the way, and like I need to do what I can in order to help the system, and like this person is a disruptor, and we shouldn't, because he's been
Cloris and-
informing. So yeah,
Cloris
No
and
offense to
Cyril would have
him.
been a pair.
But it's
But
a
all
little,
offense to him.
too little, too late. You know, sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Cloris, we
Cloris!
found her.
We also, to go with that, Erskine earlier in the episode is like, don't replace them. They'll bring in someone smarter. So the guy
Yeah.
is an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, they get back to the safe house, like you said, Jamie, and Cassian and Mon Mothma have this great dialogue as well. You know, she notices Cassian's been there before, and then like, how can I repay you? Like, I'm so grateful you saved me. And he's like, make it worth it, make it count.
Make it count.
And it's like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
Cassian
I
always
think-
has these one-liners like, let's make 10 men feel like 100, but like,
I think
it's always
that-
great.
That seems like great as well, with Mon Mothma just like observing that like he knows his way around the apartment and everything, and she's just having those moment of just like, man, all this time this guy actually was here doing the thing for the rebellion. Like he was literally here, the same planet that I was on, doing this. And she's having that moment of, okay, yeah, I can trust him, and like I can trust Luthen to have the trust in this guy as well, and like it will work out. And so I thought that was like a really nice just like way of saying that without saying it. I mean, she does say, oh, you've been here before, but like, you know,
This was a great point by Brent. I saw you mention earlier, Brent. I just saw it
Yes.
again. Yeah. So from here on out, she wears white. And even in Ahsoka, was she wearing white in the New Republic?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think
would say.
she might be
Or she
wearing
has
blue
some-
again, actually.
Actually, she might,
Okay.
but that honestly would
That'd be good.
also track.
But that would
thematically.
also, yeah. But yeah, she tosses on like Cassian's coat, just to cover that her dress and everything in the meantime. But I think that it was really
she's
good.
wearing
That
blue.
coat. That
Yeah,
coat must
blue
have smelled
again.
awful.
So like it's funny. Like I thought that like the blue dress like looked familiar, and I couldn't place why, and it makes sense because she again is wearing it in the New Republic era. So that's good.
Yeah, Cassian didn't offer
I know.
Mon Mothma
Hey,
a Snapple or something.
This man's
He-
chugging a friggin'
He
chugging
did
full
the-
of water.
Too
He
fruity.
did the job. He did the job.
He did the
like,
job. Too
It's all good. But Clea is in the safe house along with Will and Drina, which is nice that they both
Luthen's
got out on that.
off doing something.
Luthen's back at the shop pretending to be Wig Luthen.
Yep.
So doing his duty.
So they take Will to Yavin
Yep.
because dude's not doing well. He's just sitting there waiting at the safe house, like, "Hey guys, I know she's giving a
I
speech,
need
but I'm kind of bleeding
Need
out
a doctor.
here. I
then-
need something."
If you didn't already get kicked in the groin enough,
Oh my god, haven't we?
Cassian returns back to Yavin and is like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to hang out with you, Bix. You know, you're the best. We're a great couple.
and he does. He
Has some
does.
sleepy tea, and then she leaves for the good of the
For
rebellion.
the greater good. It's funny, like as we like mentioned earlier, of just like how people interpret like the force and force sensitivity and whatnot. Yeah, as we've talked about it before a good handful of times, of the most Jedi thing that you can do is to let go and
Let go.
and let go on
Attachment,
to
yeah.
benefit other people. And so Bix does the most Jedi like thing of just like letting him go, but also with like the promise. The fucking dramatic irony here. The promise that like they will find each other in the future, but like it is all heartfelt for her, obviously, and it's just so heartbreaking for us because we know that that's not gonna happen.
Somebody who wasn't me mentioned letting go of attachments. I'm so proud.
Yeah,
so
it's
happy.
I know. Look, I've been dying
beautiful.
to like mention it, but I've been like
It's so
sitting on
good.
it like the entire time.
It's the ending. We had to wait.
I could not be
Yeah.
happier. It's beautiful.
Also, Bix making a choice rather than like being like if Bix was killed off, and I know this is still another week, and maybe I hope we see what Bix is up to.
Yeah.
Like I liked this ending for her, but I want to see like what she's up to, because I think she's such a very important. She's one of the main characters of the show as well. She's been through torture. She was almost raped. She's gone through like so much crap.
Drug addiction,
and like she got her like revenge. I know Star Wars is Good Guys isn't about revenge, but she got some revenge last week. But I'm so happy she's not just gonna be killed like after going through all that.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't see her later. Like she makes a choice, and it's for the good of the rebellion. Like, and that was such a tough choice she had to make, and it was so selfless.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's exactly it. And you know, we've already talked about how this entire show is all about sacrifices. Everybody has to make a sacrifice for the rebellion. Sometimes it's your life. Sometimes it's your life in other ways, right? You know, maybe you don't die, but your life will never be the same again in a negative way, because you can't be with the person you love, or you leave your wife and child behind, or your husband and child behind. You know, it's I go ahead.
I have two thoughts. One that neither of them really go with each other, but I'll try to mention both somehow. But the first one was I didn't really realize the parallel in this arc of the two romances of Dedra and Cyril, and then Bix and Cassian. Dedra and Cyril are both very selfish. They want to be heroes of I don't even know what, and they want to both go. Let's both go back. We can go be together. We can be on Coruscant. Meanwhile, you have, and that's what Dedra's saying.
Yeah.
And then you have Bix saying in this other relationship, like not to Cassian, like I'm gonna leave, but leaves the message for him, like, hey, I'm leaving for the best of the rebellion. Let's not be selfish. Let's not be be a hero. It's like I didn't really think of it till just now, but
that's a great
awful relationship. Great relationship.
That's a great thing. That's a brilliant way to look at it. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, AJ's he's on the ball tonight. Dude, you're coming up with these all over the place.
I had 5 hours of sleep. We did a whole convention all day. I don't know how I'm doing that. As soon as we log off, I'm just gonna drop dead like K2. my lights are gonna go off.
We haven't even talked about that yet. I just want one more thing as well. Like when Cassian wakes up and realizes Bix isn't there, there's a beautiful shot of him standing in the doorway of their house. And so they have like the rounded doorways, and it looks just like in season 1 with like little Cassian like on Kenari. And I loved like that visual, because it's like him just looking at the jungle, and it's just like he's like kind of like right, not quite right back where he started, but like in a sense he is. Because he's like alone again.
Remember the circles? We've talked about this.
Yeah, and so like he runs back to the base trying to find everybody, and he gets yelled at by like the deck officer to not stand there because Gold Squadron's coming in with a freighter, or they're waiting on a freighter. At least he says waiting on a freighter, and it's like the freighter. We know what the freighter is.
I know what the freighter
is. And I've seen the freighter.
Can I just give
small glimpse?
Diego Luna every single friggin' acting chops I possibly can.
Yeah.
Oh my god, him
standing there
with his just like soaked eyes. He's not crying, but his like eyes are just tears, and it's incredible. Oh my god, it's heartbreaking.
The acting in these episodes, the editing in the episodes, like of Cassian running through the woods, but also showing his reaction and showing Bix, like all of that edited together was a masterpiece.
Masterclass.
It was this masterclass. Yeah.
I mean, this like I said, this is the greatest Star Wars television will ever be. I don't think it can be topped. I said that about The Marshal, and I'm still holding on to that single episode caveat. But this was about as good as I've ever seen Star Wars.
I agree.
We still didn't see it. What's going on next week, though? So I mean, we'll see.
True.
So we haven't had an opportunity to talk about this. So we have this like batch of like fresh recruits of just like Vel and everyone else like taking inventory of like the guns they brought with them. And Vel notices the gun that she gave Cassian back on Aldhani, just like, this is one of mine, or I personally think it was one of Cinta's, but this is one of mine. I recognize this, and just whose is this? And then there's Melshi, so he's like in the rebellion too, just like there, and I'm just like, yes,
Hello.
he's back. It's so good that he's just like Duncan Pat was literally just doing the hey, I'm here.
Hello.
It's just like so happy to see him. I messaged my one
Melshi.
friend that like loves Melshi as much as I do, and I was like, did you watch this week? And she's like, I didn't see it yet, and I was like, she's like, did Melshi show up? And I was like, he showed up. So anyway.
And Belle's a high-ranking.
Which checks out. She
Rebel
has
person.
the experience. She has the experience. She should
Belle's
be an
great.
officer.
Belle's a great character.
Yeah, and she's been fantastic. And I've always loved her, and she deserves all of the accolades.
It's the Corpo Blaster.
Oh,
But then Vel probably remembered it from seeing it on Aldani.
Ooh, okay,
Right.
yeah.
It goes way back.
Wow.
That's really
what
funny.
A deep cut. What a deep cut.
Yeah.
This show is very smart. My other thing I thought of, I know we have to get to K2. That's the grand finale.
It's a quick scene though, so
yeah.
But I just wanted to mention, like, do you think Andor will have an epilogue?
I think so.
I know it goes right into Rogue One, but I would love to see Bix's reaction. I mean, not to Cassian dying, but like to like his heroics, and then maybe the Death Star blowing up, and like I want to see what happens to some of these characters who do live. When I want to see these people celebrate the rebellion winning. I know the rebellion does win, but I want to see these people happy. And I guess maybe we don't, because Luthen's line was, I'm gonna, sacrifice to see a sunrise that I won't see and all that crap. But like, I guess that's the point of the show. But
so I've been thinking about that like a lot in the last like 24 hours of will there be an epilogue? Like that thought process exactly. I think that if anything, I'd like to see if they get to have it's just like at least the Death Star blowing up and like that celebration, because I think that's the biggest one.
That's it. That's the one. We actually didn't see it because the Death Star explosion was too bright. But actually, there's an X-wing that swings in right at that moment and grabs Cassian, but not Jin.
X-wing of all time.
Jin still gets left behind and then flies away. We didn't see it; it was too bright. But that happened, and they get to live happily ever after. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that epilogue.
I like that.
I think that there should be something. But
there should be something. I wonder, dude. Can you imagine if we hear like the Ewok celebration music, and it's like everybody on like having another party on Endor, like
everyone's doing the Lando
adjacent
dance
to the other one. Yeah, dude, that's what I want to see out of the epilogue. I want to see Vel doing a Lando dance.
I agree with Brent here. He doesn't feel like an epilogue, and he's been talking about how it leads into Rogue One. So I'm fully expecting like
Rogue One is the epilogue.
Literally, Rings of Kafrene.
Like as I literally just said, it's just like, oh, Rings of Kafrene, or we have to track down this lead on Wobani. Like I think that.
What if what's his name? The greasy informant that Cassian.
Yeah, we got to meet that guy.
Can we see that guy? Is that guy coming back?
What was his
name?
Hope
he does. I don't freaking know.
Cloris,
we got him.
Cloris, we got him.
K2.
Like K2.
Let's talk about K2.
So we get salvaged K2, and Cassian off screen hands him off to the rebel engineers to just like fix up and whatnot.
It's Tivik, by the way. Tivik.
The guy in Rogue One. Yeah.
Tivik, I got her.
So the rebel engineers like fix him up. Yeah, I love how they have him like fully like restrained and whatnot because they don't know like what's gonna happen. The guns pointed on him. It's just so funny.
Did I offend you anyway?
K2's first line. Did I offend you in any way? If I did, I'm sorry. If I haven't, I would greatly appreciate you not pointing that blaster at me or whatever he said.
K2's eyes.
So
great eyes.
K2 does have great eyes. It's so funny how emotive he is from his eyes, even though like they're like unblinking, unchanging.
They like move. I mean,
it's a little bit, yeah.
Oh, it's so good. What a perfect intro. That was the perfect first line for K2 to say. That was such a funny line.
I know. I was wondering what they were gonna have him say, and then they nailed it. Of course, they did. And I'm glad they ended the episode like that because the first arc ended sad with Brasso dying, and then the second arc ended with Cinta dying, and that was very sad. And then this was like gutting arc. Yeah, but we get like a nice
K2 though
happy thing at the end. We get K2.
K2. Yeah,
I know Bix left, and that's very sad. But then we get K2 to like as like a palate cleanser, I guess, to make us like a little bit happy. So
I'll take it.
Next week,
K2 palate cleanser.
The freaking finale.
The
Yeah.
freaking finale.
freaking
Can
The freak-
you-
it's the finale.
freaking bat.
It's a freaking bat.
The finale.
Damn, that was like subliminal.
Beautiful.
I know.
Jesus.
Gonna go play some Arkham City now.
Yeah,
But,
right.
yeah. I don't know. Like, we could probably keep going about these episodes, but like,
We literally
Let's wrap up.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
a
we
lot-
got there.
Can I say one more thing before we do the outro?
Sure.
Well, we're gonna do
Right, well, we
characters
got
of
a
the
couple
week.
of things.
Oh, we
but
do.
Yeah.
We do a character. Do that first. We'll do that first.
Okay.
Remember your thought.
So, character of the week.
Glup first.
Sorry, Glup of the week. Glup should
All
have
right.
the last.
All right, I got mine ready to go. I got the picture.
Go for it.
This person
Ooh.
on Coruscant, I believe. I think they were listening to the speech, or I don't remember. I don't remember who this person was, what they were doing, but I love whatever they have going on with those goggle things.
It's
Maybe that's
good.
their eyes.
I really
don't know.
like it.
Maybe
Yeah.
they're implants. But-
Yeah, definitely. There they are from last week.
There he is.
I've had all these pictures this whole
Goalkeeper.
time.
He was the glup last week.
Glup
This was
was
our
really hard.
this was our Glup last week, Matt. Bond.
Ooh, wow!
Glup
I
on.
forgot about him.
All right, who do you guys got for Glups?
This is really, like I said, it's really difficult for me. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna pick the bounty hunter that's just like walking by in Yavin 4. That's like the droid with like the bigger head, because I love that character design. It should have been Rise of Skywalker first, and the fact they like reused it, I'm like, oh my god, that is
guy.
literally it's that guy. It's Glup Shido, and so
It's
like
Glup Shido.
like
That's
yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited for that. I have to look up like who that is, but I'll get back to you.
Mine's the Melito in the background.
Melito
Outside the Senate building.
the journalist.
Yeah, or outside the Senate room. Probably a journalist. Whoever they were, Melito mentioned. Matt is there to be the happiest man in the room. That's me.
Very nice.
I'm the biggest Melito fan around. And that's the
droid in
droid's
Yavin.
name. Yeah.
That was a good one. It was good to see all the characters on Yavin, all the familiar faces. But characters of the week, because Matt, we decided last week we're gonna do 2 per week because there's 3 episodes, and yeah. So Matt, you want to go first?
Yeah. So my character of the week is Cassian Andor.
Really?
I'm not
And-
kidding. And Mon Mothma.
Okay.
Those are my 2 characters of the week.
Are we gonna have a sweep?
Andor sweep, baby.
All right, Jamie. I don't know what yours are, but since Matt gave those, we'll keep the sweep in play. I
Yeah.
also chose Cassian Andor and Mon Mothma
Yeah.
because they both hit grand
Erskine
slams.
Samaj is a close third.
Jamie's like, yeah, I also did.
I also am picking Cassian and Mon Mothma.
There's
What
no
did you
way.
originally have?
They were my original picks.
Okay.
Holy crap.
I mean, it's their show, and it was
It's a no-brainer.
their time, and they met up.
And that I think was the thing that elevated both of them to like the best character status. They finally got to meet.
I gotta say, like, as well, honorable mention for me this week as well was Bix, because even though she wasn't featured in it, she was the one that made one of like the biggest choices in the entire thing. So I gotta say, honorable mention Bix this week.
And I'll give an honorable mention to Bale because Bale was awesome this week as well.
Bale had some good lines.
Bale had some bangers.
I mean, I might give an honorable mention to. They're both pieces of garbage, but Dedra and Cyril were just.
I'd give one to
acting,
Cyril for sure.
The acting was.
Oh yeah. Denise
But
Goff.
Denise Goff's acting in this. We
Oh
didn't
my
really talk
God.
about her mental breakdown that much afterwards, but like that was great. Like
And
she was feeling the collar, like fixing her clothes, like she couldn't feel right in her own clothes.
Kyle Solar as well.
Kyle Solar, yeah.
He's
No,
awesome.
they
both.
and the show's over for him. Like we'll
I
give
know.
we'll give him the Andor salute or whatever. But like,
dude, I'll give him the Andor salute. I'm honestly gonna miss Cyril. I'm gonna miss him. He's been one of my favorite characters from the start.
good character to hate. Very interesting.
I can't believe we're gonna be getting Andor without him. He's been like my favorite,
I know.
one of my favorite guys, and now he's gone. It's hard to believe he's actually dead. I felt terrible for his mom somehow.
Oh,
Yeah, she's there getting the news from the sources there with her buddies just crying. That was actually kind of really sad, but like that's the last that we're like gonna see of her.
Cyril
glad
Karn,
that is over.
the man who draped himself over a bed while his mom ate fondue. You will not be forgotten.
How's
What a
gotta-
character.
B2 emo? We haven't seen him in a minute.
Dude,
maybe
honestly,
maybe Bix will go pick him up.
either Bix picks him up or he lives a happy life playing with children in wheat fields for the rest of his life.
Maybe.
Which
We're gonna
I'm
see him
totally
again.
fine if we don't see him again.
We're gonna see him
because
again.
I think he has a good life on that planet, good people taking care of him. But if we do see him again, don't
the
kill him.
epilogue's just him receiving news about Cassian.
Don't kill him. Oh my god, don't do that.
that.
No.
All right. Anyways,
Anyway, that's
we
it.
ended on a sad note.
The show ends next week.
The show ends next week, and then what the hell do we do for the rest of the friggin' year?
Talk about nonsense and make
Talk about
bullshit out
nonsense.
brackets.
Get ready for it.
That's
Get ready for
Marauders.
2025, the year of nonsense at HoloNet Marauders. Get ready for it.
It always is. All right,
Yeah,
thank you
true.
everybody for joining us tonight.
Oh,
in the
wait!
chat.
I got one more thing to say.
Oh
yeah, you had your
I'm in
thing.
the outro. Go ahead.
Shout out to cousin Jen, the waitress,
Yes.
who we gave a badge to and who said would listen to the show. I don't know if you made it this far. I don't even know if you listened, but if you did, shout out to you. I really appreciate your support. Whether or not you listened, at the very least, you took the card and you liked our shirts.
You get the Andor salute.
You get the Andor salute this week.
Oh gosh.
Comment if you have a
Thank
YouTube
you.
account.
Ferrex, Stone and Sky.
Mhm.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight in the chat and hanging out with us live. We'll be back next week with the final episodes of Andor season 2, final episodes of the show. And
It's been a ride.
it has been a ride. And we'll see you guys next time on HoloNet Marauders. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.